It's so bright. So much light.
It's so bright. Jeez.
Well, that's what happens when you get out of bed before noon.
I know.
All right,
Uh,
Elspeth.
I don't understand what's going on. It's. I guess I've never done the show at this particular hour. We've done it early like this, but it's typically a little bit later.
It's true. But and also you're not used to this hour. Usually you're still in bed.
To be fair, I'm normally up already and have already fed Baker and getting ready to walk her. But um,
Well, we've got some friends in the audience joining us, and it's still dark in Oregon. But hi, Richard.
hi, Richard. Welcome to a very special Sunday morning um, international edition of
Yes,
SideKick Power Hour.
and we have our friend Jalen in the audience as well.
Hi, Jalen.
On
Good morning. What time is it over there, Jalen?
in Oregon, I know it's 6 a.m., isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's 3 hours behind me. So,
Yeah.
so it's really early, Richard. My goodness, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And Jalen is in Taiwan. I think that's about 12 hours ahead of me. So maybe it's about 9 p.m.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's about 9 p.m. and
8 to 9 p.m., something like that.
yeah.
And here in New York, it is 9 a.m. Eastern. Oh, see, I was right. 9:09 p.m. That's what Jalen has told us. So look at that.
Okay.
I'm in sync. Not the band in sync. They're a 90s band.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, yes.
Did you dance to their music?
I wouldn't call it dancing.
Did you ever cover any of their songs?
In karaoke?
But not on a professional sense.
No, not yet.
Well, that's all right. Maybe you'll write a musical using their songs as a jukebox musical.
I think somebody's already done that, haven't they?
Well, they did, but people have done that for Britney twice. Her show, it was the show and Juliet, which is the songs of a bunch of those people, like Katy Perry and Bon Jovi, and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, I think, and Britney and other folk like that. Something called Pink, and then Britney had a jukebox musical all about her songs called "Once Upon a One More Time."
Gotcha.
But Once Upon a One More Time is closing this September. It was not very well received on Broadway.
Ooh.
Good morning, Muru. Welcome to, and happy to have you here as well.
Hey, Muru.
So jukebox musicals can be multiple people can make musicals about using their songs. But and Juliet Ashley was a huge fan of it. She thought it was really, really well done. She enjoyed it more than Bad Cinderella.
Okay. But
and one of our guests is in the audience right now too.
Benjamin Koll, the incredible.
The wonderful Benjamin Koll is poking his head in a little early to say good morning. Hello. But how are you? And what's new with you, Nakia?
I'm good. I'm just trying to switch my brain back from thinking about Benjamin Koll. Okay, so focus on the show, Nakia. Suddenly I was like back in Vegas last year when I met Benjamin for the first time. He and his hubby were both at Bigger Vegas. I think they actually both did DJ sets, and Benjamin may have actually, I think he sang a bit too.
Well, you can ask when he comes on the show.
Yeah, for sure. But it was so lovely to meet them both, and I just did not get enough time with them. So I've got to figure out where I can see them another time.
Maybe you'll find something that you're doing together, unbeknownst to you.
I know it would have been great if he was on Cannonball.
Or maybe you get him for Meaty Bits.
Oh yeah, Meaty Bits.
That sounds like a negative response.
We'll talk about it. About it. Yeah. Okay. Well,
we'll all talk about it.
If you're just joining us this morning, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. My name is Nakia.
And my name is Joshua R. Pangborn. And today is the season finale of Sidekick Power Hour Season 3. And if you're watching us tomorrow night, aka Monday night at our usual time, tonight is our final season finale of Sidekick Power Hour Season 3.
Yeah. You know, we we love doing this. Don't get us wrong, but um, even with Graham helping us with some booking stuff, it still becomes a lot of work. And both Joshua and I have, um, me in particular, have a lot of things that we have to catch up on. And if we
And we
can,
want to bring you a bunch of stuff from Sidekick Productions that you're all waiting for. We have a lot of things in the pipeline. I have 4 shows in post production right now.
yeah.
Uh, that mostly are not relating to me anymore. So they move beyond my spice. I don't know. I'm Moira Rose this morning. I don't know. Uh,
But I say that to just preface that yes, we are going away, but we will come back at some point. But the other thing that we said at the beginning of the season that was, we were going to need time to edit this season because we are turning it into a podcast. So um, I don't know how Benjamin and it's interesting. I think I'm gonna have to think about that. But I don't know how Benjamin and Trevor are they're constantly on the go doing stuff. I feel like that I am. Uh, Sometimes I feel like I'm just out of gas all the time. So I'm dying to hear how they stay up and at 'em all the time. You know. I know Benjamin takes time for fun and does some getaways and stuff, but like me, a lot of the things that I end up wanting to go to sometimes turn into like paid gigs, So, which reminds me, I just saw that not only is Tidal Wave 2024 going to be in Palm Springs and the host hotel sold out, but now there's going to be a Western exposure happening the same weekend that people who are at Tidal Wave can go. So, Robert and I are trying to decide if we're going to go to Western Exposure in June of 2024, which is just a month before the normal Dad Fest. So I don't know if Dad Fest is happening.
that's all. That's confusing.
Yeah, got to find out.
And we still don't know when Bigger Vegas is for 2024.
Oh, right. Yeah, they haven't really said, have they?
Because that's just the next date for Bigger Vegas, technically. So.
Is it?
Yeah, it's every 2 years. Bigger Vegas is every 2 years.
Oh, so it wasn't last year that I bumped into them at Bigger Vegas?
No, it was last year. Because it wasn't this year. It was last July.
Right. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't last July. It was 2 Julys ago.
Right.
Because now it is almost September, aka August. But as far as that goes, and of course, you all might notice that Nakia is in Texas right now.
Yes.
And if you had followed us last week, you would have known that Nakia was supposed to be in New York.
Yeah.
But he said, I hate Josh. I'm not coming to New York. And that's that.
What happened? Tell the real story.
Nakia chose to take his health into consideration, and that is a wonderful thing to do. Everyone should always take their health into consideration and maintain a healthy work-life balance. And Nakia needed to focus on his knee because his knee had surgery, as many of you know, 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, the progress wasn't where we wanted it to be, through no fault of his own. But that is neither here nor there. In any event, Nakia unfortunately had to stay in Texas and not come to New York and see me and make some magic with me. But we're still making magic together virtually, and we'll be making magic together throughout the rest of the year because we have a lot of projects in the works.
I
So
was really looking forward to the chance to be able to do the Power Hour with you in person. It's so rare that we get to do that, and the only thing I think it's only happened maybe once or twice now, and it
has it ever
really
happened?
I think it did, yeah, yeah. Remember
Maybe once, yeah.
because we did the whole reveal and I was there in person,
Yes, 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 yes.
but um, it's because it's not like we get to hang out anyway when we're in the middle of the show, you know. So like we still have to produce the show live while we're doing it. So, um, but it would have been fun, and I need to give a big shout out to my lighting people. Jesus,
Very, very bright today.
I was gonna put maybe I should just put that.
This is not a Sidekick production here. Jalen says, "Get well soon." Oh, look at that!
I just happen to have this very large Nakia band, Blues Grifter album cover. Let's see if I can put it over.
I don't think it did anything because the lighting has not changed at all.
Now it just cuts off the top of my forehead.
Now it looks like you just can't find your spotlight.
All right, wait. Let's see if I do this.
Find your light, Nakia.
Hang on. Go to the light, Carolyn. Let's try this.
Oh, now you're my height. I mean, at least you're out of the spotlight for the most part.
All right. Well, this is ridiculous. So whatever. All right. Well, we're gonna try to get through this.
It's amazing. His light wasn't like this when we did the pre-show. It's like the sun moves and stuff. People,
It's like this whole cyclic.
rotating on the axis kind of thing. You know, rises in the east and sets in the west kind of thing.
Totally. Josh,
Nakia,
I watched a lot of horror movies this week.
I know you did. You've been keeping me abreast of them.
I have to say, we're gonna talk a little bit about some of these before we bring in our first guest tonight. Who will be Trevor Ashley. Trevor will be joining us in the studio soon. But I'd say Men was so fresh, but it was also so crazy. Like
Men is a weird film.
And I think what's interesting is I kind of felt like it was, you know, wild from the get-go because of the first 3 minutes, if that. You know, it really just kind of starts going, and I could tell that we were looking at it like a flashback setup, but I don't know. I kept thinking like, okay, where is this going? And I kept noticing the faces and thinking, you know, that, you know, like that boy doesn't look quite right, you know, or whatever.
You didn't realize it was all the same?
Not until like, the
reveal.
The reveal where his hand is already cut open when he comes around.
Well, I have to say then, kudos to the actor then for portraying such different characters.
Yeah. I mean, again, you could kind of tell if you really are looking, right? But the makeup was really good.
It was
like Jeffrey, the gardener.
The garden keeper, the gardener.
You know,
those are British occupations.
His face was, you know, kind of aged and splotchy in spots, you know. Of course, like I said, the boy didn't look right at all, and I kept thinking like, oh well, you know, he's he's clearly, has some kind of issues, or maybe medically, he's like a what do you call it, the like a Benjamin Button situation, kind of thing, where he's, he ages, like a Kimberly Akimbo.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, that was not it. It, and I guess the thing that's the weirdest to me, and I'm not, if you're a filmmaker watching this, hire me. But I think sometimes I'm like, oh man, I really wish they'd just given me one real solid piece of evidence that confirmed that, like, this was supernatural, or this was in her head, or both. Like, on the one hand, it kind of reminds me a lot of Hereditary, that it feels a lot like processing grief and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so everywhere she goes after this, she's reliving this experience through every man that she encounters. But on the other hand, because they show so much of the Green Man stuff, and all that, it's hard not to think that it's kind of a little bit of both. That she was already grieving, and that she stumbled into this fucking weird ass village inhabited by one person. So I don't know. It was wild. I need to read it on it.
This is an example of folk horror.
Yes.
And folk horror, if you watched our Sam Drogo episode, folk horror is a very popular genre that's not quite. It's not about thrills and chills and slashing. It's more about using elements of folklore to create fear and foreboding. In this case, Men uses the story of the Green Man or Everman to talk about that and everything. But I mean, it is about processing grief for sure. It's processing grief and the cycle of life and everything like that.
Yeah.
Which is why you get that weird ass scene at the end, which is where most of my friends I was watching it with checked out. So.
Which is unfortunate, because it is the last 10 minutes of the movie, but to me, aside from all the symbolism, it's one of the coolest special effects.
Oh, for sure.
That I've seen in a horror movie in a minute. It reminded me the other day when I also watched what's the one? Hellraiser. No, not Hellraiser. What was the one where there's a photographer, paparazzi? Black Mirror.
Oh yes, okay.
Black Mirror. This season of Black Mirror is almost all. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, is all horror movies. Like, it's little horror vignettes of stuff, and that one was a werewolf thing.
Well, Black Mirror is mostly horror anyway. I think it's very horror. It's sci-fi horror generally.
Typically sci-fi tech horror.
Yeah.
Like it'd be great if they did a whole season where they just leaned into the gay stuff, like possessed dildos or something. I don't know, but like,
yeah,
I really do think that this season was particularly more scary and murderous than any other season that I'd ever seen. And I also think that when the first episode was finished, I realized that when it came out, it was right on the tail end of Schitt's Creek. And Netflix was really promoting that first episode, which is called Joan is Awful, I think is what it's called, as like its own series. And it made me wonder, like, are all these pilots that they just turned into Black Mirror episodes? But anyway, before we bring our first guest on, we will take a quick break. I did want to say, I have to. We're definitely going to have to talk with Trevor about this. You and I have both, of course, been watching Drag Race Down Under. And I mean, I felt like this most recent All Stars was a train wreck, but
All Stars or
the most recent RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars was a train wreck, right? Like it was really rough, but this one's pretty bad. Like there's some real moments where I'm like, wait a minute, how did they even get here? But there's also a couple of queens that I'm totally in love with. I think that they're super sweet. And I just in general, as someone who has spent some time doing drag, I'm always celebrating anybody that can actually put themselves through just drag. That's one thing, but as also someone who's been on reality television competitions, that when you add those things in, it's a lot. So bravo to anybody that puts themselves through it. But my goodness, my general thought is that we have reached a stage of RuPaul's Drag Race worldwide where we need to give more of these queens who've been doing it a minute more airtime, so that we can let some of these other girls get seasoned first before they get on TV. All right, but let's get Trevor in here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Trevor Ashley. Super excited, as everybody else is in the audience.
As I am.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Speaking of things we both watched and were rooting for the whole time, that would be Trevor Ashley. Okay, so let's take a moment. We'll be right back after this.
Okay, money shots, go boys, 2 minutes, places.
I can't believe I let Hunter talk me into this, especially along somebody like you. Dad, what are you doing?
You know, I dreamed a lot of things when I was in that coma for 6 months. One of those things was you, Anthony.
Cut! I think we got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Joshua R. Pangborn, and we are SideKick Productions. We are an independent production company dedicated to telling queer, fat-positive stories. Oh, thank you, Yolanda.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Oh, could you get ready for the next scene?
Yeah, but can somebody tell me where that dildo water pistol is?
Oh, I saw it. I'll show you.
We're a group of mostly queer artists who are dedicated to telling the stories that we aren't seeing anyone else tell, with actors and artists who are often kept out of the spotlight.
Derek, I know I said it would be a dream come true to meet a real-life witch, but no, I'm not so sure.
Oh, gee, what was it? The impending torture that changed your mind?
Soon, the demonologist and the detective will be no more, and my house will be complete.
How much longer do I need to hold still?
Just one more take.
Demon Doctor, scene 76, take 93.
We each come with a diverse set of skills. And when we don't know how to do something, we teach ourselves.
Like how Paul became an award-winning makeup artist. Oh, hey, Josh.
Oh, or how Nakia became an award-winning composer and sound designer.
I've got this great idea for a new show. It's called Cricket Cabaret. It's a musical show.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to write you some lyrics.
Okay, great.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Do it?
Could you change into your diaper?
Yeah, can I? I mean, if you want me to.
We wear a lot of hats.
I'm sure you can take another one.
Oh, he can take it.
But that's just all part of being an independent filmmaker.
Exactly.
Whoops, I dropped this. As we've grown, we pushed ourselves in front of and behind the camera, even producing our first feature-length musical, which I co-wrote with Nakia. Oh, hey, here are those lyrics you asked for Cricket Cabaret.
Everyone else sees so many different hues, a rainbow of colors from which they can choose. But in my world, the colors are gray. Am I just broken or differently made?
Loved it. But I have some notes. It's front and back.
Simon, I'm telling you, something's not sitting right with me in this case.
Well, Edward, that's because you slept with the main suspect. And he manipulated you into getting him off. Figuratively with the law, and literally with the climax. And now you're having second thoughts because you found the murder weapon in his sock drawer.
No, that's not it.
Car is full.
Was somebody looking for this earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Whoops. We started with our queer soap opera, and have since branched into other genres, including horror and mockumentary. Oh, Emmy, are you sure this just isn't too risque?
Oh, Felix, have you seen the teen moms we've had to compete with in our time slot? Squirt me, Nana. Squirt me.
Anything for my granddaughter!
Oh, so wet.
Wiggling, y'all.
Is it weird that this is turning me on?
Join the club, Oscar. Right?
Sorry.
The batteries are dead.
The batteries are dead. Are you serious? The battery?
Oh, we're still recording.
We love working together and we make mistakes like anyone does. That's what we do, and it's okay.
We are Sidekick Productions. We are queer. We are fat. We are allies. We are people who have stories to tell, who want to share them with you. And we have so much more to bring to the world. So come with us and become a part of the Crooniverse we are creating.
Oh, which URL will you use? Will you go to thecoronaverse.com or sidekickproductions.org or maybe patreon.com/sidekick productions? Either way, we don't care. We just love for you to join the Crooniverse. You could do that at Patreon. You could also do that by just supporting via Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, all that good stuff. We still have a full movie that we're almost halfway done with because we've shot it and it's beginning the real post-production stuff now. Josh is literally waiting on me to finish like 2 other big projects. So there's so much more to do. But right now, we are bringing you, for the first time ever on SideKick Power Hour, making their SideKick Power Hour debut. Trevor Ashley is with us this morning. Hello, Trevor.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are
Hey,
you?
welcome to SideKick Power Hour, Trevor.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Where are you this afternoon?
I'm in Greece, in a little island called Paros.
How lovely.
Finally having a holiday. So it's been really nice because I have worked a lot this year. So it was like, I need to go to Greece and lie down.
We were talking about that before you joined us in the studio. We were talking about I feel like you are constantly on the go, especially the last, I would say, 2 months. I feel like it's just one thing after the other.
Yeah, it's been a lot happening. It's been really great. So, but it's been great to be over this side of the globe because obviously Australia is so you're so isolated there because there's really not much near us. So so it's great to be sort of over, playing London and Europe and doing all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, a lot easier for you to hop countries over there.
Much easier over here than in Sydney, where you're a minimum 14 hours to get anywhere, interesting.
Absolutely. Well, so you're in Greece. We know that you're going to be actually in Josh's hometown in New York City in just about 3 weeks, I believe.
Yeah. I'm going to be in New York in 3 weeks at the Green Room 42 doing my first shows there.
Lovely. And Josh, are you familiar with Green Room? Because when I saw that, I was like, wait, I keep because I usually stay right in that area. So I was trying to look it up, and it's actually literally down the street from where I normally stay, and I think it's inside of the Yotel in Hell's Kitchen, like right near Times Square.
I think you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to a performance there, but I know the space. So that's pretty exciting. That's a great location. It's very central to everything. So.
It's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And Ben, who books the venue, has been wanting me to come for ages. So we finally got it to work.
What's the show going to be?
I'm going to do a show called Queen of the Moment, which is about sort of my journey on Queen of the Universe, and plus some highlights of other bits of my career that I've done that I didn't get to show on Queen of the Universe. But I'll be singing all the songs that people loved me doing on the show, as well as
which was all of them.
Oh, thank you.
It really was a delight hearing you perform each time. So,
thank you so much. Yeah, it's really been. It was such a wonderful show to be a part of, and I just think it really shows drag in its best light, which unfortunately, Drag Race Down Under does not seem to be. I don't know what they've done, but it's very weird because there's some very, very amazing queens in Australia who just. They do not choose for Drag Race Down Under, which makes it flabbergasts me like last season, there were a few more that were pros, Right. And this season it was like, there's one pro.
Right.
No one else. And It's really weird because you just go, why are you doing that? It makes Australian drag look shit. And we're not. We're actually really good. And if they put anybody who has worked in any of the major cities for years on the show, it'd be hugely fabulous. But
do you think it's because they don't want to be on the show?
No, they've all auditioned. I know lots of them.
They're all over here going, please put me on.
And then they announced the cast, and we're all like, who? So it's
more like a Drag Race Junior or something.
It's almost like that, and I mean, which is fine, but I do think that certainly for me, I go, well, I think it would be better if you could if some of the more experienced girls were on the show, and or even some of the girls who aren't just doing amateur drag competitions or in their bedroom were on the show. Yeah. So I think it's weird. I haven't seen much of this season yet because I've been overseas, so I haven't seen
because you they don't have to tell you twice.
No,
you're like, okay, you fooled me twice already. I don't need the third one. It's good. There's moments where it's good, but it's just unfortunate, because all the reasons that you said, and then I think when you add into the fact that there is this drag race fatigue syndrome going around, every other week there's a new franchise spinning off, which bravo RuPaul and bravo drag in general, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if you kill it with bad TV, then it's not. I mean, and like I said earlier, I think you were in the green room where I said this, that I wasn't the biggest fan of the newest season of All Stars that they did in the U.S. I felt like that it was kind of a train wreck too. So I hope that this new season is going to be great. This U.S. season.
Yes.
We'll see. Trevor, have you ever auditioned for Drag Race?
No, I would never. I didn't really want to. Look, they've of course now had a chat to me about it,
right?
Since doing Queen of the Universe for them,
sure,
the same team,
right?
I don't know. Look, for me, one of the things I do the best is singing. So I think lip syncing for my life is a little bit pointless.
Right.
I could actually sing you off the stage. Right? So I feel like that would be the thing that would hold me back. I think I quite enjoy doing a lot of the challenges. Like I'd love to do the impersonations and Snatch Game. I'd love to do the acting challenges and all of that stuff. I'd be fine with writing a song. We did on Queen of the Universe, you know, like all that stuff I can do. I think it's more just the fact that sort of I'd have to be like Bianca Del Rio, who just got through the whole season without ever having to lip sync, and then you.
Yeah, you know, when I don't know if you heard this earlier, but in 2019, I decided, okay, I'm going to do drag for this entire year and to see, you know, try it and see if it works. I've always wanted to do it. I was terrified of doing it before, but a friend had moved here to Austin and was willing to kind of like take me under her wing and help me. And we put together a show together and we did it every other month and it was so much fun. But it was also expensive and terribly painful and a learning experience.
Very expensive. Drag is always expensive.
Yeah. But, you know, right as that was wrapping up is when season 1 of Queen of the Universe was beginning to send out casting stuff.
Right.
And so I actually sent in a video for season 1 of Queen of the Universe. I did not actually see anything for season 2, but as soon as I started doing drag, people were asking me like, oh, are you going to apply for Drag Race? Because you've already been on The Voice. And I was like, no, because I don't want to lip sync, you know, like for in that way, because I'm people know me as a singer. And I think that it would be really interesting if they could do kind of a best of both worlds Queen of the Universe Drag Race where there was no lip syncing. It was all of the girls who do live performances, but there's still the Drag Race challenges, you know. That could be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think certainly with our season of Queen of the Universe that they tried to incorporate a few more sort of behind the scenes moments, quite a few more like weird challenges, like we had to learn to dance and do all of that, so do group choreography, which I think they did really well and really showed more of us than what I guess you got to see of the girls in season 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of the show. And so we were all pretty devastated when Paramount Plus, you know, axed us because I actually think it was doing really well. And we've certainly had lots of viewers, and I've certainly had people from all over the globe write to me.
Sure.
About my performances, and they've been shared so many times. And but I love the show, and I hope that it's not the end of the format because it was a great format, and I loved filming it. I had a really good time. So
but again, this was people at home, our viewers might not know this, but you know, this is by far not your first time on television.
No,
this is your first time in a Drag Race adjacent RuPaul production of some sort, but you've been doing television work for years in Australia.
Mainly acting.
Yes.
This is sort of my first reality thing, but I've been an actor for a long time, and so a lot of the stuff that I've done before, I've done a couple of films and lots of TV in Australia, and I just shot. We've got a show called RFDS, the Royal Flying Doctor Service, in which I'm a regular character on that, which is on a major network in Australia. And it streams overseas. I don't know where, but my next couple of episodes are coming up now. They're on, I think, at 2 or 3 of the season, and I'm in episodes 7 and 8. So, in a few weeks that'll be.
And is that season 2?
That's season 2, yeah.
Okay.
Do you usually perform in drag or out of drag for when you're in film and television?
I often get a lot of drag roles in terms of playing a different drag queen. I mean, they're all me, but I played a lot of drag, or I get often, you know, gay makeup artist, or you know, whatever. Hairstylist. All pretty similar, but it's quite fun in RFDS because Dolly, you get to see Dolly as a boy and then as a girl, and so it's quite lovely. I got more time this season as myself. So it was nice to have a sort of more than just her hosting at the pub that they all go to. It was nice to sort of do more than that. But it's but it's a beautiful show if you get the chance to see it. It's as you can see, it's shot out in the middle of nowhere. We're out in Alice Spring, in Broken Hill, which is outback of New South Wales. And
Wow.
yeah, so we film it all on location, and it's quite spectacular. It's it really is a great show, and the acting's fabulous. And
Beautiful cinematography, yeah.
Lovely cast. Yeah. Rob's beautiful, and Justine. So yeah, so we do this a lot. But it was a joy to film season 2 of that and to be out there. I don't think I make the trailer. I think because we actually ended up. We only just finished shooting. I finished shooting about 5 weeks ago, and it was on within 3 weeks. So there's been a real fast turnaround this time, because last time we shot it during COVID season 1, and did it all with everyone in masks and the whole, kit and caboodle. And eventually we finished it, and it was sort of the end of 2020, but season 1 didn't air till 2021 when they finally ran out of television. I think they went, we're going to put that on. Right. So, yes, but now this one's been a lot quicker. It's been like, bang, film it, you're on. Great. But it's apparently been very popular overseas.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
So what came first then? You doing drag or you doing theater and musical performances?
It was mostly, I started out as a theatre performer. I went and I trained from a young age and was at theatre school when I was 5, and I did a youth theatre company in Sydney that I was there for 10 years from 5 till 15, and I had singing lessons and piano lessons, trumpet lessons, and I also write orchestrations and can do all of that. So when I was growing up, I was big into school band and all of those, all of the things that make you a good musician. And I wanted to do musical theatre really, really badly, and that was all I wanted to do. And I kept auditioning for things, but everybody was saying, you're brilliant, but you're just a bit young still. So I was going in for things like Les Mis when I was 17, but they were like, you're not really Marius. I'm like, no, I'm really Thenardier, but I'm a bit too young. And they were like, yes. And I said, well, I'll see you when it comes back. And weirdly, 17 years later, I played Thenardier. So there's been some fun things. But when I was a sort of starting out after school, I was singing in nightclubs and things like that, and cabaret rooms. And I went to New York and I performed when I was 20 and when I was 21. And that year, when I was 21, I was doing really well, and suddenly things were sort of happening in New York for me. And I thought, I'm going to move to New York. It's going to be fantastic. So I went home, did some gigs, and was ready to move over, and 9/11 happened, and all my friends in New York said, "It's not the time. Don't come here now."
Right.
It was then, weirdly, 9/11 happened. I was in a drag bar watching a show, and the girls were on stage doing the show, and behind them on the monitors, because it was at night in Australia. On the monitors, suddenly it cut to the news, and that was all happening. So it was this weird juxtaposition where the drag queens ended up sitting down on the bar, and we're all sitting there in disbelief watching the television. So it was a very strange moment. And it was actually after that, the host of that night, Portia Turbo, she said to me, "You sing. You should do drag." And I said, "Really?" I said, "I don't know." And she went, No, you should, because you'd be the only one of us who can sing. There's only a couple of singers in Sydney. And so I went, okay. So I started to learn how to do makeup, and within 6 months I was working 6 nights a week and doing drag full time. And that's all I did for 5 years. And then luckily, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the musical, the original production was casting, and they asked me to come in and audition. And there's Portia, and so she was my drag mother.
Oh,
and,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's fabulous. So
That's great.
I ended up in auditioning for Priscilla, and they had me go in for Felicia. And they were looking at, well, what would happen if Felicia wasn't a muscle Mary and was a chubby boy, but very talented. And so they sort of looked at that as an option. And then they went, no, we need to do, we want to do what the movie was. And so they wrote me a part. And so I had this role written for me in Priscilla that has now been obviously performed in different countries and by a lot of other people. But the whole monologue song was chosen specifically for me to be part of the show.
That's so cool. And then you're wearing a Joseph shirt, but you've also been in Joseph. Wait, what? Oh, there you go. Yeah.
No, my Greek internet.
Yes, the Greek internet over there. Trevor, who did you play in Joseph? Pharaoh?
Pharaoh.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Which again, I wasn't even going to go and audition for, but the director said, Trevor, why aren't you auditioning for this? This is the English director. And I said, well, I'm not really the sex symbol. He said, we don't have to do it that way. I went, okay. So I went in and sang it. And next thing you know, they changed the whole costume, made the role completely different. And for me, it was fabulous. Because I'd already played, I played Herod in Superstar previously. So I've now done the 2 Lloyd Webber cameo roles. And yeah, and
Trevor,
then
Macintosh.
Yeah. So it's great. And then and I got to play, I was the original Edna Turnblatt in Australia.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I got to do Hairspray for 2 years.
That is really cool.
So it's that kind of career back home. So it's interesting because people overseas obviously don't know that, but that's what I've done for a long time.
Well, there's a lot of amazing film and television that goes on, and theater that goes on in Australia that I don't know if at least a lot of Americans necessarily encounter. I mean, when we think about, I know that for the most part, Australian television, for people that I talk to, is Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. That's what they know.
Oh, really?
I mean, I love Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. Don't get me wrong. I've watched that like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other Australian film and television theater that's out there that I think that people don't always necessarily think about. There were so many great early queer stuff going on in Australia that was I mean, Priscilla, for example, so it's exciting to hear what you're doing and telling our audience that, because that way people are aware that there's more things that happen than just in New York and LA, because it's good to know that.
And one of my favorite things I ever got to do was a movie called Holding the Man. And if you've never seen it, it is one of the greatest queer love stories. It's a true story. And my dear friend Tommy Murphy wrote the play version, and it played very successfully across Australia and on the West End. And it's a beautiful, beautiful film. I'm only in it for like 5 seconds, but I'm so proud that I'm just even a very small part of it. It's a really beautiful film, and Tommy wrote a beautiful screenplay for it. And it's just a great queer story about a boy from Sydney who, falls in love with a boy from Melbourne, and it's just heartwarming, and then it's absolutely tragic, of course. And Sarah Snook from Succession's in it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you like Succession, and Guy Pearce plays their father, so there's like lots of Aussie actors that you'd know.
Sure.
But it's a beautiful, beautiful film. So definitely check it out. I'm sure it's on everywhere you buy movies. It might even be streaming, I'm sure, on Amazon or something over in the States. But it's a fab film. Jeffrey Rush is in it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's got cameos from everyone. It's like a really star-studded, Anthony LaPaglia is the other father. But it's this beautiful love story, and definitely check it out because make you cry. It's a beautiful, beautiful film.
Well, I do like crying, so that's perfect.
Yeah, good. I like crying too. I look at the trailer and tear up. I'm like, oh.
Trevor, you mentioned cabaret, and obviously you're going to be doing essentially a cabaret show, I imagine, in New York.
Yes.
What, if you were describing, how would you describe to an American person who wasn't familiar with the art of cabaret? How would you describe it?
Look, it's really just a one-person show where, depending on the show, I tell funny stories, sing great numbers. It's usually fairly humorous and entertaining. It is. It's sort of like stand up with songs. That's what I always try and say. If people are scared of it, it's just stand up with songs. And I get to write my own little mini musical starring me, really. So it's fun. And I do a lot of impersonation shows, but I thought this year, because of doing Queen of the Universe, I would do a show that I talk about that experience and sing all the hits from that people enjoyed hearing me do, and actually sing the whole songs, not the 90-second version of all the songs. Because there were bits where I was always like, oh, and I'd get so confused because so many of the songs on the show I had sung previously. Like, they were actually great with me because I would say, oh, can I just do River Deep Mountain High? And they'd go, because I'd be like, they're going, try to do a Lipa song and try this version, try that. And I'd be like, just sing River Deep Mountain High. And they'd be like, okay, we'll just sing that. So they were always, they were trying to push me into modern. They kept going, go on, into something written after 2000. I'm like,
it's funny you say that. When I was on The Voice, when I auditioned at my private audition, which was at Melody, because they had literally emailed me and said that they already wanted me on the show, but I had to do this audition. I was like, okay. So I go to this audition and I sing old soul songs, which is what I was known for in Austin at the time.
Yeah.
And you're like, come back tomorrow with something current. And so what I did was I went home and I did a mashup of an Otis Redding song with a Justin Bieber song.
Oh, great.
And they loved that. But then when I was on the show, CeeLo, we'd get our assignments each week. And I would be like terrified because there'd be these massive pop songs that I wasn't familiar with. And would never bat an eye, though, and would just do it, right? But what I found out later was there were other people on the show who, when they got their song, essentially said, no, can I just do this one that I already do all the time? And those people ended up, out of the top 8, which I was fortunate to be a part of, 5 of those people chose their own songs multiple times, So because they fought for it, and I didn't know that it was an option for me I was so new to all of it. I just it never crossed my mind to go, I'm not going to sing.
I mean, it's so funny. And I wasn't sure quite how it all would work either. But once we were there, and I mean, we'd had to choose the songs beforehand. But, it's, there she is. And then, but I'd try and pick interesting things that Carl, the main producer, would let me. So that was always very nice that they sort of trusted me. So yes, but there's Liza doing Lady Gaga.
I love it. Let's take a minute and listen. This is from your website. incredible. I was supposed to be in New York this weekend because Josh has a new show that he's almost finished shooting, minus my parts, called Brooklyn Butcher. And I was coming up to film my parts in Brooklyn Butcher, and then I was going to do some new headshots because I am trying to start auditioning again, and then I was going to shoot a music video, all in 4 days, Josh? We were going to do all of that.
Good.
Well, yeah,
sounds doable.
But now I'm thinking to myself, because Josh really needs me to reschedule as soon as possible. Maybe I should see if I could come up the weekend of the 14th.
See the show, yeah.
So we can go see the show because Josh, here's the other thing that I don't think you're prepared for about the green room. Josh, will you put me back in?
You're in. Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. So we're going to leave that beautiful photo of Trevor. So this is the space right here that he's going to be performing in. But look at something else they have there.
Dueling pianos, yes. Are musicals performing there? That's wonderful.
Well, I'm just thinking maybe we could pitch them the idea that we do a live performance of dueling pianos at their dueling pianos bar.
Maybe. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we talked about doing for like Bigger Vegas or some of these other Chub Chaser Bear events. But we're going to take a real quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to you. Oh, what's Least Hate say? So glad I caught the show. Love you.
Thank you.
King Trevor.
Same. And Least Hate is somebody I've known for years. They live just about 4 miles away from me, actually. And now they work just right down the street. Super, super nice guy. Him and his fella, Daryl. I've known Daryl now 18 years, 17 years, I think. But when we come back, we're going to talk about dueling pianos. We're going to talk about Crooked Cabaret. And then we're going to get our friend in here, Benjamin Koll, who's going to join us for about 10 minutes. We're going to have a crossover with Trevor and Benjamin. Then we'll say goodbye to Trevor, and then we'll continue talking to Benjamin. So we will be right back after this message.
You can call yourself a chubby chaser, even if you're not a twink. You want to hurt me? Well, I say yay. Sex is the best sex, that's what they say. I'll say it once, I'll say it twice, so listen to my advice. Come here, just a little bit closer. I'm a laugh machine, I'll leave you tickled pink. Let's clown around if that's your kink. We can clown around if that's your kink. Yes, you can say that I've got daddy issues.
Oh, that is the trailer for, or we call the spicy trailer for Dueling Pianos. It is the musical that I have the great pleasure of co-writing with Joshua R. Pangborn for his incredible queer soap opera Skeleton Crew. It was the musical episode of season 5. We are here live on SideKick Power Hour. This is a special Sunday morning live edition that will be broadcast when, Josh?
Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With
our new friend, Trevor Ashley. And we will be joined shortly by a friend of mine that is also an incredible musician as well, Benjamin Koll. And so they're in the green room and will be in with us shortly. Trevor, we wrote this musical as soon as I got involved with Josh as a friend and as a collaborator. One of the very first things he said to me was, "Oh, I want to write a musical episode of my show Skeleton Crew." And at this point, we were working on season 4 of Skeleton Crew, which is where I came in, and I naively was like, "Sure, let's do it," but it's a lot of work.
It's quite a mess, isn't it?
Yeah. You are not only performing these well-known songs, but it sounds like you're also writing and composing even original songs, but also parody songs as well.
Yeah, I do a lot of parodies.
Yeah.
So it's always I tend to do every year. I do a panto, and I know Americans are less familiar with a panto, but I do. Obviously, it's a very English tradition, but we don't really have them in Australia anymore. We used to have them, but now they've sort of died out. But I do these adults only pantos.
Sure.
And so each year I do a different show, and it runs for a month. And we do, last year I did Moulin Scrooge, and it was a complete piss take of Moulin Rouge, where I played Saton, who was the lead showgirl at the Scrooge, and it was very funny. I was dying of long COVID, of course. Yeah. So, and then this year, I'm doing a brand new one, which isn't announced yet, but but there's a mermaid involved.
Oh, good.
What could it be? I wonder. That's exciting, though.
When will that be?
That's all of December in Australia, in Sydney.
Okay.
I think pantos are usually December, right?
It's often a Christmas thing in England. Certainly, it's a Christmassy time. You put on your bring the kids out and go and see that. And obviously, not for mine. You can't bring the kids to mine. That's the one thing you cannot do, is bring children to my Christmas show, because it's always appalling. It's a lot of fun. And it generally involves me falling in love with some hunky twink who's, there. This year's very good. I'm very pleased with my casting. So,
oh, that is too funny.
Looking forward to that already.
We have a lot of fun writing songs together, Joshua and I, and once we kind of started down the path of doing the Dueling Pianos musical, we kind of immediately started writing songs for this other idea that I've had rolling around in my head forever, called Crooked Cabaret, which you might have heard me mention in the promo video that we shot, which, by the way, Josh, every time I look at it now, it's so hard for me to see that version of myself, especially from the side, because Trevor, I had jaw surgery in December. And so I didn't have much of a profile at all because my face was so flat. So when I see
you had a profile, it was just very different than what you have.
So when
I had a hair transplant, I look at photos from a year ago. I'm like, oh my God, I have hair now. It's great.
Really?
Yeah, everyone's doing it.
I love that. I love
everyone's having a hair transplant. So,
well,
yeah, no one was looking at me.
When we started writing that, we've been through several iterations of what exactly it was going to be, and one of the things that we're currently considering is that it would start as a stage show that we might do in Edinburgh Fringe. But I have to say that while you were talking earlier, I thought to myself, how can we get this show but get it shot in Australia with Trevor as the star? Because it's about a cabaret singer who also used to own their own cabaret, but now they don't for reasons. But that every episode there's multiple performances, like it's a musical show.
Yeah,
so we will definitely have to send you info on that once we start getting that rocking.
Look, I've got my US visa now. I can do it over there.
Perfect.
So,
there we go.
I had to do it. I thought I'll get my UK visa or get my US visa. Then if any work comes in, I can come tomorrow. Easy.
That's awesome. That's very smart too. Although we'd probably have a better chance of an actual network picking it up in the UK, in Australia, considering that even though, it's interesting. We were talking about the TV thing earlier, because in the US, as far as Drag Race has come and queer culture has come, etc., I still don't think that they're near as quick to put on queer characters and leads and things and centered around especially more niche characters in the US as they would be in the UK or even Canada. You know?
Oh no, I mean it is interesting to see, like in the UK, how well, especially all of the UK drag race girls do in terms of they're on everything now. Like these girls are now, you know, celebrity apprentices and
Right.
and dancing on ice and you know, Dancing with the Stars. They're getting on everything. They were on Bake Off. They're on Celebrity Bake Off
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, seriously, it is amazing what, you know, the franchise has done for people. But certainly in the UK, they've had drag on television forever and ever and ever. So, but it's really that I think they're braver often, and you have fabulous showrunners like Russell T Davies doing
Mm.
his incredible shows. I mean, that It's a Sin was just one of the most incredible series I've ever watched. And, you know, he's back at the helm of Doctor Who with now a queer doctor. Like, I mean, it's really quite amazing. And I think they are very open to performers crossing over into it, and especially a lot of West End performers moving into television, which I think in Australia we find it very hard to cross over from theatre to TV, and so it takes quite a leap, you know. But there are casting directors who will, but it is harder, and I think for the queer and gender diverse people, it is certainly a lot harder in Australia. Though I think things are changing a lot of that, you know.
Yeah.
I do think that Australia and Canada and countries like that, I encounter a lot of Australian web series because in the circuit, it's usually the big countries are usually Canada, Australia, and Korea, and South Korea and the U.S.
Right.
And, from my experiences, the Australian series seem to be really well supported by like grants from the Australian government and everything.
Yeah,
and that's beautiful. That's wonderful that they're supporting independent artists like that, and because it's
yeah,
not
we were very lucky.
So it's because it's really funny because you see because Canada does it and South Korea does it too. Like their governments all support their these independent artists. So you go to these festivals and you see all these amazing, beautifully polished series from Australia and Canada and the South Korea, and then you get all these American series shot on a very, very, very inexpensive camera, and it's like, well, one of these things is not like the other, and that's because America does not support their independent artists very well. So.
No, I know. And I mean, we were so lucky through COVID and everything that the government really did step up and help all of us in the arts and made sure that we had money. And certainly there was a huge amount of money put aside for COVID relief grants afterwards. So trying to get back up and running and putting on a musical again and putting on a play again, you're getting money thrown at you going, please open, do something. We need to do something. So we were quite lucky in Australia for that.
Back to the theater thing, I wanted to ask you something because you have played some pretty iconic characters in theater. Is there a character, a role that you are just like, man, I really know if I ever get the chance, I'm going to kill it in this role?
I really want to do Lacage.
Oh.
There's a production happening in London at the moment in Regent's Park, and I got to see the first 2/3 of it, and then it got rained out. So I'm going back on Thursday. So I'm going to see it then. But it was absolutely brilliant. I love the part, and I love singing "I Am What I Am" and "More Mascara" and all those great songs that Alban gets to sing in the show. So I would love to do Lacage. So if it ever came back again all over the world, I'd kill to play him.
I can't remember. It's been a minute since it was in Broadway, right? Like
last Harvey Firestein did it not so long ago.
Yeah, Lacage is interesting because it was a show that opened. It's been revived twice in recent memory. Like it was, it was rare for a show to be revived so as frequently as Lacage was. I mean, it happened so quickly for two different productions. One had I can't remember the name of him, but the other one had
Kelsey Grammer and
Kelsey Grammer.
Douglas
Yes.
Hodge. They did that version, and then I think it was Jeff Siebert, Chris Seibert, and Harvey Firestein did the version of it. But I didn't know whether that was that same production or whether it was a different one. But anyway,
I think that was the same production. I think that one was the same one.
Yeah.
Either way, the more recent one was the one that was really, really good because it was more stripped down. The earlier production in the early 2000s was done in a very large theater, and this is not a show that really. It's a much more intimate show, despite the large numbers, the large dance numbers, and everything.
Yeah, with all those big production numbers and everything, but still, yeah, they did the Chocolate Factory version, which was started in London and then went to Broadway, which I had my friend Simon Burke played opposite John Barrowman when he was playing Our Band in London.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, my friend Simon did it there, and now he's doing Moulin Rouge in Australia.
I enjoyed Moulin Rouge here. It's fun, but it definitely was not my favorite thing I saw that season for sure. But I ever since you brought up Moulin Rouge, I cannot get over this idea of you getting over long COVID is so funny. So,
and every time I'd cough into the hanky, it was different colors. It was like, ooh. That doesn't look right.
That's so funny. Was that recorded at all?
Well, I have it. Well, we were going to maybe revive it this year because it sold out so fast.
Right.
And then I couldn't add any more performances. It was just we were done.
Gotcha.
So I was going to revive it this year, but then I came up with this other idea, and now I'm like, I think I'm going to do the other idea.
Okay. Well, the other thing that I think is fun about you, Trevor, is and you brought up the passport thing, and now I can't stop thinking about this, is it's actually like any of these shows that you put on, you can do anywhere.
Yeah, well, I think some of them are a bit local. So I know that this year's goal is to make sure that it's not just written for Sydney, because I tend to do so many jokes about local things, and you know, which I think can be translated. You just need a good person on the ground. But this year, I definitely want to bring one of them to London because I'm going to move there from March. So I'm going to move to the UK. There's a lot of opportunities over there, and I kind of have done everything in Australia. There's not a lot left to do. Yeah. So I'll go home and work and come back again, keep trying. So yeah.
But no, you honestly, you're right about the thing that you said about the Drag Race girls in the UK getting all this extra work and stuff, and that speaks again, I think, to the nature of the audience over there. That's what they're really, you know. One of the things you said was, you know, they've had drag on television for years, and the first thing I thought of was Monty Python. You know, it's just like. It's the UK audiences are so used to
Edna, Lily Savage, you know, these amazing queens that worked on that. I mean, Lily Savage hosted Blankety Blanks on 5:30 at night, and no one ever complained from in the 80s and 90s. So, you know, you got to go, that's nuts, isn't it? They were so much further ahead.
Yeah, for real. But it definitely makes sense for you to be over there.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you know, I mean, especially with the theater scene over there. I mean, there's so many other opportunities available to you. So bravo to you. Now, do you, I don't remember if I saw this in your bio or not, but are you taken? Because our audience is going to want to know.
No.
All of our viewers are probably at home right now going, please say single. Please say single.
Yeah, no, single, but I'm just like, I'm never in one place more than a few days. It's quite complicated.
Sure.
But so I haven't really tried, to be perfectly honest, lately. It's just been too busy.
Right.
But yeah, single for a very long time now.
You'll be living in London then?
I hope so, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
gotcha.
the plan.
Gotcha.
Unless something happens where I have to be back in Australia for a particularly, I'll probably just pop back.
Right.
But it's a long pop. So
How long is that flight?
24 hours.
Oh my God.
There's a new one though. You can do 17 hours London to Perth direct, and then you do the 4 hours from Perth. Wow. After a layover, but still, it takes a day.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's not fun up the back.
Most Americans, Nakia, at least on the East Coast, it's a flight to LA and then a flight to Australia because it's such a long trip. It really
There's an incredible story in Dave Grohl, the lead singer of Foo Fighters, drummer for Nirvana. He has this great book that he put out about 2 years ago called The Storyteller. And I'm a big fan of Audible because I'm like you, I'm kind of always on the go doing stuff, and I rarely have time to just flip through a real book. So I'm listening to it, and he tells the story of being like having to fly home for his daughter's like high school graduation or middle school graduation or something, but getting sick along the way, but he has to go back to Australia. So it's like he leaves Australia, he goes to LA, he comes back to Australia, and it's all in the course of like 48 hours. And
Oh my God.
I don't know how he did it, but he was
did it in first class. That's how he did it. Fine up there.
He was also very
in a row or anything. Like cramped in with babies.
He did it in first class. That's too funny. Trevor,
Constantine Travel says that London is very lucky to have you, Trevor. So,
thank you.
Yeah. What do you remember was the moment like that you started at 5 and you were in these musical theater productions, but do you recall like a moment where you really kind of gleamed onto this idea that like, oh, I really want to focus on being like a singer? Was there a particular singer that you were really idolizing and emulating?
I wanted to be a singer as long as I can remember. I don't have it just was, I always sang, and nobody else in my family's musical.
Really?
So, no. So they were really finding their way. My parents, God love my mother, she was so amazing because she went and found where I should go and what I should do so as I would be able to do it. So I was always supported. And I think when I got to, the only thing that she said was, I didn't want to finish high school. I was kind of, by year 10, I will say this, I actually do very well. I was smart. I just wanted to go work. I wanted to work.
Yeah.
And mum and dad convinced me, stay in school because there are these amazing opportunities in the state school system in Australia where you can be part of state schools, big bands. There's a thing called the School Spectacular, which is performed at Arena.
Oh, wow.
And they pick like 10 or 15 soloists from high schools around Australia, around New South Wales, sorry. Yeah. And so I was like one of the stars of that for 2 years in like year 11 and 12. And I got to do incredible things that I think if I hadn't have stayed, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to do. But to answer your question, really from birth, I was a singer and Barbra Streisand.
And do you have some Barbara numbers and Barbara?
I have a whole Barbara show. I have a 2-hour Barbara show.
Oh my God!
Wow!
Where I sing 20 of her songs.
Wow!
I don't impersonate her though.
Gotcha.
Stephen Greenberg, my dear friend, impersonates her and is amazing. Simply Barbara. And Christina Bianco is amazing. Does a great Barbara. But I can't sing like her. But I tell them a story of why the two of us are so similar.
Okay, gotcha. I love that.
So it's sort of a little. It's a little comparison between the two of us. I sing all their numbers, which is great. But I remember my mother had the Wet album, when I was a kid, and I used to play it just constantly. So her and Tina Turner. I discovered Liza when I was about 8. And when I saw Liza, I was like, and then Experience the Divine came out when I was 11. And that's when I learned about Bette Midler. And then I found Live at Last, and I found all of it. And I saw Beaches, of course, in 93. And, so like, when was Beaches? 91. Something like that. Anyway, so I saw all of those. Once I saw that, I was hooked on Bette. I was hooked on Liza. Finally watched Cabaret, all of that stuff. So those are the sort of people. And then eventually, when I was I went on a date with a girl to the movies to see Little Voice. Did you see Little Voice with Brenda Blethyn?
No.
And Jane Horrocks?
Yep.
And Jane Horrocks does these impersonations in it, and she's amazing. She does Judy, and she does and all these different people, but she does Shirley Bassey. And I went, I love this. And on the soundtrack of that film, the real Shirley was on the soundtrack. And weirdly, like the next year, she announced she was touring, and I'd never seen Shirley before, really. And I went to the Capitol Theatre in Sydney, and there she was, and I went, and that was it. Then I found all the albums and bought all the CDs and listened to everything. And so I'm a huge Shirley Bassey fan.
I love that. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we'll have Benjamin Koll. We'll keep the two of you together for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we will say goodbye to you, Trevor, and continue with Benjamin. We'll be right back after this short message.
Oh, hey. How was the flight?
It was great. Thanks for meeting me at the airport.
Uh-oh.
Sir, you look stressed. Would you like a relaxing massage and blowjob?
Yes.
It's like a house of cards, and if I blow the wrong way, it's all just gonna come crashing down.
I'm worried about me and Anthony, Pop.
What's that for?
Well, we're living together. Well, we love each other, but we're just not a team anymore.
I get it. Adulting is really, 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 really hard.
I've decided I know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
So you've heard the story about my killer day.
Heard it? I live for it.
I live my life. And I don't think that you could say that about yourself.
I am tired of giving you sage advice only to have you rebuke me.
Last night we played Hide the Rattle, and I still haven't found it.
Oh, this is a gay bar.
I'm sad. About CHJD, you sad.
Why? I mean, hi.
All of you are idiots. Except you. I'll leave you all to figure out who I mean.
I wouldn't lie to him. And I don't see any reason to hide the truth from my friends, family, and loved ones.
I know the owners. Almost arrested most of them at some point. They're a great bunch.
That way of life gets old.
That way of life? Or just you? I guess it's good that I have such a great sense of self-confidence.
I'm looking for a real bear god.
Who changed the light bulb in the sex spot? It's way too bright in there.
Don't you remember the good old days of playing male prostitute in the backyard with your buddies?
It's only prostitute now. Gender's dead.
Hey, it's Nakia and Joshua R. Pangborn, and this is SideKick Power Hour. This is another international version. We've had a few of these this season, and we're live streaming this morning, Sunday, but if you're watching this on Monday, it's pre-recorded. We're joined by our lovely guests, both first time to Power Hour, hopefully not their last. Trevor Ashley, who's joining us in Greece, of all places, and Benjamin Koll.
Hello.
Hello, and Benjamin, where will you be joining us from this morning?
Puerto Vallarta in
Okay.
Mexico.
How exciting!
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. I have the beach here. I'll show you. I don't know, maybe later. Well, you can see the brightness.
It's so bright outside.
Yes.
I've never been to Mexico.
Mhm.
I know Josh hasn't. Trevor, have you been to Mexico?
Yeah, I've done a lot of Atlantis cruises, so
Oh.
I've been to Puerto Vallarta and I've been to a few other places.
Nice. Do you do those cruises as a performer?
Yeah, I did 17 of them in a row as a performer.
Oh my God.
That's a lot.
Of both.
At the end of that, of course. But I haven't been on one for a few years. I think I'm in Atlantis jail, as we call it. Yeah, they book you for ages, and you get booked, and then they go, "Oh, we're sick of you," and then they do someone else, and then you suddenly get a panicked phone call. Oh,
Someone's dropped out. Right. Benjamin, what about you? I know you DJ some, but have you performed at all on a cruise?
No, no. I don't. Well, to be truthful, the last time I was in something similar to a cruise, I was 7 years old. I just have one word: Titanic. No, I'm the fat guy. I would die, before the violins are playing. I'd be like, well, there he goes. No.
I've
So
never been
no.
on a cruise. Josh has been on many cruises.
Well, not many. I've been on about 7 cruises. There was a stretch of time where my friends and I, our yearly vacation would be a cruise, and I found I never thought I would like a cruise because I'm like I don't really like beaches. I'm not really that kind of person.
You don't drink.
I don't drink. So what am I going to do on a boat? But what I loved about it was that I had no choice but to unplug. Because I am always on the go. I'm always like I've got 7 different projects working at any different time. Plus I've got a day job, so I'm always like constantly working. And when I got in a boat, I'm like, wait a minute, I can't. Does it work?
You're trapped. You're trapped.
So
I get dizzy. Last year, I think it was last year, we had a fabulous idea of getting a yacht and shooting a music video, like you're living the fantasy and all that. And we get on the yacht, and exactly half an hour later, I was in a little boat running away from that place because I get motion sickness. You see the video, and you cannot tell. I'm a great actor. I won my Oscar. But I was like, shoot now. I takes and run away from there. Hire the guy to dance in the beach and finish the video in the beach because it's like not happening for me.
Yeah, so you're not a boat fan.
No.
I have to say the thing that for me was, if you guys remember, right when COVID really started happening, there was that one cruise ship that was stuck on the sea.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody on the cruise ship had COVID. And that to me is like a nightmare scenario. So
that's a movie waiting to happen. That's a movie waiting to happen.
I've written that movie. So the other thing that while we had you both on, typically when we get into this portion of the show, a lot of the times the topic turns to kind of the vibe of Sidekick Productions, which is very fat positive, very queer, sex positive. And you're both from very different places in the world, who have different cultures. Do you still find, especially in queer spaces, do you find being a bigger size performer is a barrier in some spaces? Like people still are not accepting of that when you're trying to book shows? Is that something you see that you're being discriminated against because, or do you just steer right past all of that?
You want to start, Trevor?
Sure. I mean, look, I don't tend to have a problem. Like I've never had a problem getting work, and I mean I've fluctuated. I've done that a lot. It was ironic that I was probably at my thinnest in my adult life while I was playing Edna Turnblad because I lost so much weight dancing in that fat suit every night.
Sure.
I've got to be bigger. But no, I've never really had a problem with it. And I actually have to say, like, having been to Mykonos, Amsterdam Pride, London, Brighton, you know, all these places recently, I haven't ever had anything. I never felt negative, or I haven't actually had any.
That's great.
Problem in queer spaces. And I mean, I don't know whether that's just because I don't really let it affect me or how that is, but I certainly find I haven't found any sort of, you know, cuntiness, I guess, from boys. I mean, then again, no one's tried to pick me up either, so there's been
I'd highly doubt that. Come on now. Especially in London. I know those boys are eating you alive.
But
my experience is different. Spoiler alert, it's different. I mean, well, my perspective is more the one of a producer. Most of my life I've been a music producer, and I've been behind the scenes. So I've lived with homophobia forever in the industry. I know there is still going on. They have learned to hide it, to not speak about that when a phone is around, but it happens. And fat phobia, it's, you know, they also now in Hollywood, everybody wants to be thin, no matter how many diabetic people need that injection, they are using it to get thinner. There's fat phobia going on every day. You open the news, and there's one actress talking about her, you know, she's a hero or he's a hero because they're, what's the name, the road to getting thinner, and, you know, all the effort, and the effort was $6,000 on every pam and throwing up and feeling like shit to get thinner. So no, but also that's what gives me fuel to do what I do. When I decided and do my project was mostly because I didn't, there were no bears in the business singing or whatnot, because they don't want that. I've heard things like, no, fat people are ugly and poor. They cannot be on a music video. Right. That has been said to me by a suit on a big company.
Sure, yeah.
To my face, and I was funny.
Right.
So that happens.
You were a pioneer, though, in a lot of ways, though, because
I was just fighting for my right to do my music and to put my music out there. I don't see myself, because if I had been smart, I had, you know, I always did this because I love music. And that's the thing. But on my perspective, the industry is still. You go to it happened to me last year. You try to get interviews with bigger stations.
Right.
If I have the phone, Sony ATV. I could call Sony ATV and tell them, hey, I have a bunch of songs I want to promote. Please put me whatever. They would be, okay, who's singing? If I don't say whoever's slim girl or boy, it's like, you know what? I'll call you next week. Because they don't want older, they will. But it happens with everybody. YouTube, for example, shadow bans everyone that's not in the queer spectrum of their liking.
Sure.
And I have that on writing. I have an email from Google because I was fighting because of my video Two Men Kiss still it has like a letter saying it's offensive, and it's guys kissing from all over the world. And I was in a fight over that. Even you know, in Google they have a little committee of gay LGBT. Well, the guy called me in private and then sent me an email and told me, we know it's okay, we know it doesn't, but anyway, it's going to be like that because they don't like it. That's it.
But you keep
So it
doing
happens.
it, and you keep.
Oh yeah, I'm an activist. I love throwing stones at them. You know, I love when the Two Men Kiss video with two fat guys kissing has 4 million views. For me, it's like I'm sending the link tomorrow to all of them. I don't care. I've done a lot. So for me nowadays, it's more of a. This is like a mission, you know?
Yeah.
So that's it.
Trevor, before you go, we wanted to also remind folks again that you're going to be in New York City, and remind me again the name of the place, the Green Room 42. Yes, and we did put in the comments, folks, if you want to click, it is right here. You can click this and buy a ticket at the Green Room 42. This is basically at like 42nd and like 9th Street, I think. Yeah. And it's, right, everything's central there. So there's no excuse if you're in the area. You should definitely go. This should be a 2-night sold out performance. And I'll have to say, it looked like the tickets were like just like $20 or something. They started at $20.
I can't remember, but it's reasonable.
Yeah, that's really reasonable in New York. So
Sweeney Todd is $300. Yes, that's.
I mean, oh my God, I want to do it so badly, but I'm like, I need to see Sweeney Todd, but it's
Me
really
too. I need to see Sweeney Todd, but I also need $300.
How long will you be in the city?
About 2 weeks.
Okay,
so
great.
I'm planning on seeing definitely Sweeney Todd and definitely Titanic, because now that you mentioned Titanic, I want to see Titanic. Apparently it's hilarious. Plus they were saying they're trying to take it to Australia, and they're like, would you plan to do one of the roles in Australia? So so I'll go see that to see what it's like.
I just saw that they cast Willem in a short run in Titanic.
Willem's there, and Drew Droge is playing the role that they want me to do.
Okay, great.
So I love Drew. So I saw his fabulous off-Broadway play, Bright Colors, Bold Patterns, which is just incredible piece. And so, which I also wanted to do in Australia, but there we go. I've left now. Who cares?
Well, Trevor, we won't keep you any longer, but thank you again for being with us.
Thank you. I'm going to go have dinner.
To have you. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your vacay over there in Greece.
I will.
And Josh will absolutely be, as far as I'm concerned, unless he wants to make me very mad, is going to take one night off of work to go see a show.
If there's tickets available, we'll see what we can do. Yes.
There's tickets available. And if you folks have want to find out more about Trevor, you can go to Trevor's website, which is right here, trevorashley.com.au. And shout out to your manager. Now, do you call her Tanya or Tanya?
Tanya.
Tanya. Okay. She was so sweet and very helpful.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think she said she was going to be tuning in. So thanks so much for
your
help.
Too many time zones. That's the only problem. We're all over the place. So
right. Yeah, it is. It's true. All right. Well, when we come back, it'll be the solo interview with our good friend Benjamin Koll. We will be right back after this, and we'll say goodbye to Trevor. Trevor, thanks again for being here.
Thank you for
having me.
All right. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Hello? Somebody there? Hey. Who are you?
Harvest? Yes, this symbol is on every single victim.
So it's vengeance you seek.
Nothing about this is fine!
People don't just randomly kill. There had to be a pattern here.
I screwed up big time! I can't find an answer about the scissor slasher, and I can't find an answer about what I am.
That was not my turn.
I trust you. This is terrifying. But fun? Right.
Okay, so maybe I embellish a thing or two on immortality.
With love as well as with magic. There is always a price.
I am very much looking forward to it.
I am too. I look forward to watching Demon Doctor whenever possible, hopefully very soon. But in the meantime, you can watch Demon Doctor by going to sidekickproductions.org or demondoctor.com. And you'll see all of season 1 of Demon Doctor and what we have put out so far of season 2. Hopefully we'll have more of season 2 very soon. But in the meantime, you can also stream all of the episodes of Demon Doctor at demondoctor.com or Skeleton Crew or Art of Blowing It. Or our short films, Wasted on the Young and Scratch.
And if you want to, you can also go over to this lovely website that I just found to check out Benjamin Koll, who has a brand new album, 8 Days in a Bear's Life. And I'm so excited for you to tell us about this. So you locked yourself in a cabin with your husband. Tell us about, first of all, tell everybody at home who your husband is and how you met.
Well, my husband is Jose Spinning Cortez, who's also in the chat somewhere here.
Yes.
He's a very renowned DJ, a very also a show producer. He's also a music producer, and
yes,
we share a lot of artistic endeavors together.
Yeah.
He also loves doing music videos like me, and he's a really good designer as well.
He's a great graphic
working
designer and a photographer, like videographer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does he do all of those, like the on your Instagram, for instance, there's like, you're in all these different places, but it's obviously you're shooting them on a green screen. Do you guys create all of that? Does Jose do all of that?
I do that. It's part of my challenge, my personal challenge. I love designing. So he helps me, for example, shooting the raw material and all that. But then I usually, everything I post or do, it's edited by me. What I cannot do is shoot myself, but everything else usually is done by me. Because I love it.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. I did not know that. All this time, I thought either Jose was doing all that stuff or
I'm a really, I'm a fan of science fiction. That's why I did the science fiction music videos, and that was really fun because it was done at home. Everything is green screen and a chair, and you're flying and then painting a leg. It's really fun.
Yeah, you do some really fun stuff, and I got to meet you guys at Bigger Vegas,
yes,
and you performed there, and I was trying to remember this earlier. Did Jose also have a DJ set, or was it just your DJ set and performance?
No, he was with me what I was doing.
That's right. Okay, that's what it was.
That's the movie. We also shot a video with Jeremy Morse there. And Mike Parente, we did the Love Vibes video because Mike brought his car and we were driving around the Las Vegas Strip, but he was supporting me there. He's usually when DJing is the thing, but that time he was generous enough to be supporting me.
Yeah. So. Back to, we want to talk about Jose for a minute because you locked yourself in a cabin with Jose for 8 days.
Yes.
And
yeah, it was, tell me.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, it was, I was missing the immediate thing about music. You know, I wanted. I was watching documentaries. I rewatched one by the Bee Gees, and they put a piece of footage that I knew from the 70s, where they explain how they record "Staying Alive" and all those songs in a villa in south of France without electricity, and they had a week and did all the songs all together. The drummer couldn't make it in time. That's why "Staying Alive" has a loop, and all that. And I was like, when I started, or 6 years after I started producing music, I was lucky enough to get the budget to go somewhere and lock ourselves down and write the songs and or finish the albums and all that. And I was missing that. I was missing the fun of just doing music and not being so caught up on social media, because it takes a lot of work to be posting every day and all that. You have to do it, but it also takes a lot of mind space. So I finished Tosito. That was an album that took me a lot of work because I was combining it with everything. And talking with a friend and with my husband, I realized how I was missing that, the freshness of, because also the songs of that album was overlong, and there are songs that lost the. I start one song 1 month and then finish the same song 6 months later.
Yeah, I know how that feels.
And I was like, no, this cannot happen anymore. So I saw that documentary and I told my husband, why don't I go someplace and my next album, like it was done before. And working on that, then I decided, yes, let's go. February, we will go to a place. Well, there's a place in Guadalajara, a little hotel. They have little villas. It's very isolated. It's in the middle of the woods, outside the city. And we booked there 8 nights, and the plan was there and write a song every day. 8 days, 8 songs. And the idea was that I wasn't going to have my phone or social media. I wouldn't have to be posting or nothing.
Replying
just focusing on music. No. I'm not a very, well, we can talk about that later. But the thing is, I was going to focus just on music, because I also was missing playing actual piano, not programming. But because when you are doing music for so many years, you end up like, it's like writing. You go and program and click things and all that. Sure. You don't actually play. So what I did was I booked a place. I hired one of my best friends. I told him, would you like to come and cook for us so I don't have to be cooking, because I love to cook, but cooking takes space from the day. You need to go shopping and you need to cook, and it's like 2 hours or 3 hours. So he came and did that. My husband was a good time, and he just had to take pictures every now and then and document the lockdown, and that was it. And I was working from day one. When I got to day 6, I suddenly began to write 2 songs each one of the days. I ended up with 11, and those are the songs in the album, and they are in the album in the same written.
They're in the same order as you wrote them?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
I only did a swap of the 4th song for the last one because a friend told me it would work better, and that's the only license I did to, but everything in order. And it was really great because it's like rock, I do electronic music, but the feeling is like rock. It's immediate and it's there. The songs are on the album like there were. I can show you the demos. There are not many changes. There are 1 or 2 that changed, but I left most. The only thing left was it down, everything. In the coming months, I got delayed because of health reasons, but I'm so happy I finished the songs completely, because now they sound, they are coherent. Everything it's not. They don't feel like disconnected or
Right. And
it was great.
the album comes out September 1st.
Yes.
Oh, very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, next Friday. Next Friday.
Next Friday. And you you basically, like, everything on this record is pretty much you. You know?
Yeah, everything usually it's me. I'm also an engineer, so I always mix my own things. I play all the instruments on my songs. Usually, if I get a guest, I usually put it. It's like something special because it's something I cannot do or wouldn't do because I. But at this time in my life, I see this as a challenge for myself. You know, to do everything. To do the design, I have a designer that helps me with the overall, concept for for each album. But then all the development, I do that by myself. Everything is done by me.
I love that.
So, and that's a fun part of it, because what you get is what it is. It's real, there are people working on a song. It's me. That's it.
And what's your plan for? Are you going to be doing any shows, like an album release party?
Yeah, I'm going to do an album release party finally, because in the last one it couldn't be. On September 9, we are doing a party in Guadalajara in La Gozadera. It's a really cool bar that has an upper floor that's a club. I'm doing it with Berland and Cubo Berware. They're the guys helping me put that together. And that will be September 9. And then I have another date on Mexico City. I cannot really talk. It will happen.
It will happen.
It will happen. And after that, I don't have any plans. Because this year, if something I've learned this year is I cannot make any plans. If I say, I'm going to do this 1st of December, then something will happen. I will not be able to do anything. So I'll be playing it by ear. I want to do every swipe floors and clean windows and everything to promote this album. But if anyone wants to have me, they just have to text me. I don't know. But I'm not making any plans because I never know. My health is being very playful this year. So.
And what about things like other events? Like, for instance, I got to meet you at Bigger Vegas. Any plans to be performing in any bear runs or anything? I know you guys are big. You do beef dip. It's because you live there, right?
No, we live in Guadalajara. It's a 40 plane from here. We are now on vacation here this is a friend's flat. But events, I don't know. I'm not sure I'll be on Beef Dip next year. It has to be. I haven't heard from them if I'll be or not. And I don't have. I would go to Bigger Beggars if it happens because they are great, and I had such a good time last time.
They were great.
But apart from what?
That was a fun party.
Oh yes, it was magical.
Specifically to the party that you hosted at Bigger Vegas that Saturday night. It was first of all, I've been to 100 of these kinds of events, and this was by far the biggest club space that I'd seen for one of these.
I was so happy. I was really happy because being a big guy, older guy, having the center spot on a club like that's usually the Jardy Bees and all that, being there, it felt really great because it was and the management, they came and said they were amazed and they had a great time as well, and that I was like, well, you should hire older guys more often,
That's exactly right. Exactly right. I had never been to Vegas in that way. I mean, I had been to Vegas as a performer. Every time I had been to Vegas until that trip, I was there as a performer. I performed there on tour with The Voice in 2011 at the MGM, and then I performed there in 2013 when I was on tour with my band at a blues festival there, and then I performed there in 2012 I performed there with CeeLo at Planet Hollywood. And I never got to experience just doing Las Vegas as Las Vegas. And so I wasn't that impressed with like the gambling and all that shopping and stuff. That to me was not very impressive, but I did see several shows while I was there, and man, the entertainment value in that city is really high. There's some really good performances there.
We went to see David Copperfield, and yes, and he is, you know, as the guy who holds, you know, a big cardboard, and it was really fun. It was great.
So we saw Drag Race that time.
You did a Beatles thing too, didn't you?
A what?
A Beatles thing.
Oh yeah, we went to see the Beatles Love because we took Paul and Andrew with us. That was incredible.
They loved it. They thought it was
Soleil, that was my first time seeing a Cirque du Soleil. The thing that I was going to say for me, Vegas wise, is I'm actually going to be in Vegas in 2 weekends. The second weekend of September, my husband Robert and I are flying with our friends Justin and Collie, and we're going to see Adele on Saturday night. And we're going to see Lady Gaga on Sunday night. And I am so stoked. And our friends came over on Friday to watch the train wreck that is Drag Race Down Under, season 3. And they told us that, fingers crossed, it looks like one of them knows Lady Gaga's manager. So we're going to go to like some kind of dinner situation with Lady Gaga's manager on Saturday night. Hopefully that means that on Sunday we'll also be able to somehow meet Lady Gaga. That would be amazing. But I'm really excited about going to see both of those artists. When you were growing up, Juan, did you have Benjamin, I slipped back into your old name. Benjamin. When you were growing up, we asked Trevor this earlier. Was there a singer that you kind of like immediately gravitated to that you were like, oh man, I love that song, or I love that singer, or I love that production. I want to do this in music?
Well, I can tell you the first 2 vinyls I bought. I was like, the first 2 vinyls I bought with my money, my own money, were Guilty by Barbara Streisand, and oh my God, what was the name? Well, an album by Mike Oldfield. It was I was always divided between R&B and rock. Right. Until then, I was on radio, taping with my little tape, recording on radio everything from ABBA to Kraftwerk. I was a very eclectic guy. So Barbara, it's always been like the voice, but also Michael McDonald. I love that voice. It's like I would die for that. How much I have to pay? Do I have to pay to? I don't know. Many. What?
I said Michael McDonald is incredible. There's great video going around on the internet right now about this young girl who's like the world's youngest Michael McDonald fan. She's like 9 years old or something, and she's obsessed with Michael McDonald. And I, for me, that was also somebody as a kid that when I would hear him sing, I would always, until I saw him in person on TV, I thought he was black because he has such a soulful voice.
Yeah.
And he, whatever. And I used to think he was black, and then I saw him singing on television with the Doobie Brothers one night, and I was like, whoa, I just had no idea.
I had
I didn't really get into Barbara until I was in high school and college. But as a kid, I loved like Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers, Bob
Fleetwood
Seger.
Mac, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, anything produced by Quincy Jones, from Frank Sinatra to Michael Jackson.
Speaking of producers, what was the very first thing that you produced yourself?
The very first thing that I produced, well, if you mean published, on a vinyl or a professional thing, I think the first one was a song by myself. It was a house, instrumental African thing, and it was of techno, bubbly pop song that became a little success there in Spain. But I think it was like that. That was published in 1994.
Wow.
In fact, it was like I think it was January 1994 or something. I'm doing my 30-year anniversary as a producer this year, and the 40th anniversary as a DJ on September 3rd. It will be my it was 40 years ago when I get my first check as a DJ.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot.
What club was your very first nightclub gig?
Gig.
Gig.
The gig was a club. I remember the place like it was yesterday. It was called Lord Pepe. The disco. Remember, it was 1983. Right. And it was like a classic disco from the 70s. I love the place. The place was like a movie. It was like a mini Studio 54. It was squaring, like square, 2 floors. On the basement, it was the dance floor that was with lights on the floor, like Saturday Night Live, and it has these towers of flashes and lights and all that.
Nice.
And a balcony, and it was great. And the smell was very particular. And I found a Sprite with the same smell last year, and I bought two cases because I wanted to have that on the studio because it's a very particular smell. The owner was it was a control freak. I couldn't go into the DJ booth. In 3 months, I had to learn how to fix, lights, how to everything. I had to dress properly to be on the DJ booth. I had to learn a lot of things until I was allowed. And it was great. It was amazing because it was an amazing year. The music that was released that year. We started 1984 with Thriller by Michael Jackson. What's the first song of that year?
Wow.
Because we were saving it. We didn't know it was going to be a single, but we were saving. We had Gene and all that on 1983, but Thriller was like that song that we were wondering why it's not released as a single.
Right.
And we saved it for the first song of 1984, and it was a moment. That I don't know. There were many moments.
I'm sure. And, I think a lot of people, like I first encountered you on the internet many moons ago, and you were still in Spain.
Yeah. I moved to Mexico in 2016 because my husband, I wanted to live with him.
Yeah. And when I got to go to Spain, you had already... You were literally leaving because the first time I got to go, and only time I've been to Spain was 2016. And I'll never forget, I sent you a message like 4 months before when I thought I was going to be there. And then when I got there, you were gone. That's what it was. But I have to say that out of all the places that I performed in my life, the most gorgeous view of any venue that I've ever performed at was in Ronda, Spain. Is that how you say it? Ronda or Ronda? Ronda. Yeah. There's this huge gorge or like whatever, and there's an amphitheater out there, and they put me in front of this. It's like a little an amphitheater like this, but behind you is just this massive horizontal landscape that just goes on for what seems like hundreds of miles with mountains in the background. I mean, this is a place where they shot like things for like Game of Thrones and stuff. Like it's really impressive. And I spent a week in that southern Andalusia area, and I did not want to leave. It was just so.
It's you fall in love. Andalusia, it's like being in a movie. It's wonderful. It's a magical place. Seville, it's Sevilla in Spanish. It's the city there are two cities, Rome and Sevilla. For me, it's you need to go there and in the spring and walk around in the night, and oh my God, it's magical.
I don't know if we showed this comment earlier. Did we see this?
I did, yes.
Okay, I must. Yeah, and did you show this?
No, because that had nothing to do with Benjamin, but more about you. So.
Well, yeah. I just want to say, because first of all, I love you three, but Robert and I are going back to Vegas in November to see U2 at the Sphere. So yeah, we're really excited about that. I didn't get Kylie tickets, but we are going to go see U2 at the Sphere.
Gustavo has a question for you though, Benjamin. Were there other big guys or chubs in the Movida movement?
Well, okay, that's okay. La Movida, to put everyone, it's like a movement that happened in the 80s from 1978 to 1985, more or less. And it was like a cultural movement of painters and musicians and all that. It was mostly rock based. And I was too young to be there. I was a DJ. I met many of the guys that were in that movement and everything. But at that time, I was a DJ. I wasn't making music. I quit DJing in 1989, the end of summer, to learn how to do music myself because I wanted to do my own music and not play others. But yeah, I knew guys in the La Movida, chubby guys. Well, it was not a chubby thing going on there in the 80s. I don't know if it's because of Monsanto and the foods and all the things that they put on, pastries. People were thinner. It's like that. It was not very easy to find in Spain because, Almodovar himself, he was thinner, and I know him. He got bigger later, but back in like that. So it was not like that. It was a movement more based on music and art than anything else sexual, because also remember the 80s are tainted by AIDS. I myself from 1985 to 1995 I didn't have sex once because I was scared shitless. I was like, I'm not going to do anything, and I didn't. I was more focused on my hair color than any hooking up or nothing. I never did cruising. I think that's why I'm so silly about those things nowadays, because I don't have the experience of going out and hooking up or no. We were going. If we went out, we were out to show off clothes and to dance and all that and drink maybe. I didn't quite.
Do you feel like that you're kind of playing catch up for the stuff that you didn't get to do in the?
No, Not at all. No. I had a very. I don't think I left any stone unturned. I did a lot of things. I live in the present. I'm enjoying now. It's like I feel privileged. I know it's not a nice word to say, but being able to do music nowadays, what I do, like in the way I do it, showing a big guy, in many positions.
Right.
That's something I had never dreamed it was, and being able to do that nowadays, oh my God, it's like the lottery for me. So that's why I don't care if my health comes here and ruins the party for 2 months. The third month I'll be working again.
Sure.
So it's not like that. I'm not. In fact, what I'm doing now, it's not about the past. It's about my first album. That's why my first album is called Songs for a Better Future. What I'm doing now, it's not about my past. It's about if a younger, my thought was this. If a younger chubby or not chubby, over but gay or queer guy comes along, he's 15 years old in a village, and my songs can help him not feel alone and feel like there's a place where he could go. It's like Uptown for me, the song by Prince, When I heard that song, it was like, oh yeah, there's a place for me. I can go uptown and have fun. So,
oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, but that's why I do what I do. I think our bear community needs culture in many ways, and we have to put out as much culture as we can, and people will at least have a culture, and culture is evolution. That we need to put out there.
That's what I try to do too. I mean, that's a big reason that's a big reason that I make the shows that I make with Sidekick Productions, because
you have to put it out there.
Yeah.
I totally get it, Joshua. It's you need to put out there as much. That's why I do so many, fantasy pictures and different looks and all that. It's because to see that a big guy, older guy, can look these ways. It's not always about the twink. I love, everybody can be whatever they want, but we need variety, with different types of. So what I put there, it's a counterweight to all the.
And it's very frustrating for me too, because when you were talking about YouTube, I mean, I have the same problems. I mean,
yeah, no.
So many of our episodes will get limited because we have offensive things, but the offensive thing is a bunch of fat people kissing. That's it. So I mean, it's what it is. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we have to keep doing it. We have to keep doing it. We need to. I nowadays I'm upset about that. It's like it happens. Okay, it will happen. I'll keep doing it. I'll keep putting things out.
Yep. It's not going to
It's
stop.
our job.
Yeah.
No. It's no. The only way it will somehow be less hard on newer generations, it will be if there's enough culture there. You feel like it's not strange to have that character or that singer or that,
Absolutely.
It's because I don't feel I'm better than anyone. I have the means and the chance to put out there now all that stuff. But I'm not trying to say, just putting it out there, because I'm hoping there will be more that will see that and say, hey, I can do it myself. And I will do it. Okay, go for it.
It's happening a little bit. I mean, but it's still not enough, and it's very exhausting to just.
Yeah, it's a work.
It feels like there isn't the support in the mainstream, and that's the hard part.
No, never. It's I always said the same thing to the artists I work with. Never expect validation from the audience, because you will be unhappy forever.
Right.
And never expect any company to have you, not your parents. They are here to do business, and that's it. And the moment you're not business, bye. That's it. And even it could happen, and that's the fun part of this, that you're a business, but the investors don't want you because you're gay or what. Because it's like that. There are big investment groups whose only reason to be is like a holy battle they have against gays.
Sure.
And they just invest in anything that shuts down gay life. And they are very cunning because they have like a allowed gays lifestyle that you can show. But if you go to another place and show a different, it's like masculine gay. It's something that big media, they don't like nowadays. They want the queer thing.
You can be gay, but not.
They want gays to have, and they want gays to have gay divas.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's one of the most homophobic, endo-homophobic things that exists still in our culture. Whenever a gay is, and I'm sorry, Barbara, whenever a gay is giving support to any cis woman, they are taking out of the table of lesbian women and gay people and queer people and even drugs. Because for me, I'm not that convinced that. I think Drag Race, it's a great franchise and they have done a lot. But they should learn a little restraint because they are about to cross a line. They don't like the big media.
Well, Drag Race has made drag, I think, safe and not. They've almost dequeerified Drag Race a little bit.
That's what happens when you get mainstream. If you get mainstream, you have to do. Well, they think they have to do sacrifices and they have to. Well, it's not a word, but you'll get me. You know, like they have to wash out. But for me, it's troubling that they took away the creative challenges, and you know, it's like, okay, I get that you have to be less explicit, less gay, and less that, but less talented, not very good for us.
Right. Well, you have no shortage of talent. I just realized something that I wanted to point out to our audience here is on your website, you have these listening companion books that are sold on Amazon that they look like graphic novels, but they're basically, they have lyrics and photos.
Liner notes. I explain.
So what a great idea for this. You also note that these are 18 plus R-rated books, which are great.
Yes.
But I'm just curious, is there going to be one for the new album?
Yes, there will be one, but the problem I had to prioritize because, as I was saying earlier, I had health issues that had me away. So I had to prioritize, and this time I want to shoot the videos first. I want to, next week I'll be shooting one of the music videos and then another one, and then I'll work on the book. So it will not be ready at the same time of the because I just prioritize. I thought vinyl was more interesting to have it more sooner than later. So I think the book will be available when the vinyl is by the end of September, because on the book all the text is written. I have already done all the liner notes and all the making of notes. We need to do is to do the photo shoots, all the photo shoots that illustrate each one of the songs.
That's really
but
cool.
you cannot do that with you know, your face in pain. It's like you cannot take pictures. You need to wait a little.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well, I'm excited. So it comes out September 1st. You're going to do an event on the 9th in Guadalajara.
Yes.
people can obviously, as I put up earlier, you can go to benjaminkoll.com, and at benjaminkoll.com, which I had pulled up here, I'll pull it up again. If the homepage has got everything you need, really. I love this picture of you, by the way. And if you scroll, there's some really great T-shirts and merch here, and all of the videos and all of that great stuff right here on the homepage. And then you've got all of your other links are right here at benjaminkoll.com.
Yeah, everything is there. I redid all the website ago. I
was going to say, this is your new website, right?
Yes.
Yes, brand new website. And then the only thing I don't see listed here is, because you've got the OnlyFans, but I don't see the Just for Fans, but you do have one of those.
It's I think in the gallery section, I think there's a link there.
Okay, gotcha.
I think down.
There we go. Oh, I love this.
Yes.
What a great shirt. And look at those shorts. That's great. There you go. The Just for Fans, all of that right here. Yeah. Because you started at Patreon a while back, and you were able to, originally Patreon was kind of a hub for adult content as well, but then they suddenly made a huge change, and you kind of had to scramble to launch your OnlyFans because they basically removed all of your content.
Yeah, I opened Patreon because of COVID. Right. I was going. I released my second album just a week before COVID hit, so everything was. And all my income was cut short, and I was doing like live shows on YouTube to make company. To be with the guys and all that. Some guys began to tell me, why don't you open a Patreon? Why don't you? I opened the Patreon, and it was a surprise. Suddenly I had subscribers, and I could pay for groceries. So I was like, yeah. And I began to post their demos and everything. I'm a very sexual artist, so I began to post as well adult content because to my songs. It's like that. I don't censor myself, and there are songs that don't have that kind of connotation, but there are a lot that have that. So I was happy on Patreon until one day I got an email telling me, or either you delete half or you will be thrown out of the platform because now we are Catholic. So bye.
Yeah.
So and it was fun. It was ironic because just one big week before, I was with Christian and Eric from Versing Excess. We were chatting in an interview, and they told me, "Would you ever open an OnlyFans?" I was like, "No, never an OnlyFans," because I have my integrity as an artist,
right?
And I would never do that because I would never cross that line. That has some truth about it because I've never been kinky. I don't have kinks. I don't, I love when people tell me, no, I love leather and armpits and all that. And I'm like, okay, I just like regular sex. Fuck, and that's it. But, so I was saying that to Christian and Eric, and then I was kicked out from Patreon. And I had to go to OnlyFans. I had to open OnlyFans. Yeah, I had to go to therapy. That same day, I went to therapy. I called him. I need you like 2 days this week because this is going to be a lot for me. But he gave me the key to enjoying OnlyFans, and it was he told me, have in mind this: you will never have to worry about censorship again.
Right.
been dealing with YouTube censorship that was very frustrating, and Instagram censorship, and Facebook censorship, and everybody telling you, you're fat and ugly, and you are not deserving of being here. Suddenly, to being free to show everything you wanted to show on OnlyFans, it was liberating. I was like, oh, this is great. So I began on OnlyFans, really having a lot of fun. And the guys there were amazing. And it's been a bumpy road. It's been great to be there. It still is. I have discovered a lot of things about myself I didn't know. I have tried things I never thought I would. And yeah, I've been, I've been always very, if I take one direction, I will go all the way. I don't, you have to live the experience. And I took it as a learning experience, because it's many things I've done there. It was the first time, and I thought that was fun to share that path with the followers. Then there was people stealing content and all that, and they ruined the party for a while, and it was not fun. But well, that's part of our community. Our community is not perfect. Well, the gay community is not perfect because a lot, and there are people in the community that their only way of dealing with other guys is treating them in a diminishing way. But well,
I noticed when I started mine, which was more originally as a way to just kind of like work through my own body issues and stuff, and like try to become more accepting of who I was sexually as well. And I noticed that I actually had guys like messaging me saying how much they appreciated me, just showing off and like giving them confidence. And I imagine you get that sort of thing all the time.
Oh yeah. I have built very meaningful friendships through OnlyFans, Patreon, and Joshua fans. I have really nice conversations with the followers and subscribers. They are an inspiration for myself. They are on the of the album. Most of them are even by name because their stories were the ones that inspired some of the songs. They know I love them very much. Yeah, because I really appreciate when someone takes the time and their money to be there with you, to support you. And for me, it's very important. I usually don't say this, but the real reason behind why I have OnlyFans and all that is when I moved to Mexico, I lost all my health benefits. Anything, and all my work for years, it's lost. I will never get a pension or something because I moved to Mexico. So I need money.
Right.
It's like that. You don't, and you know how much money you do on Spotify nowadays.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow, $1. Wow. No. So for me, it's been, and being with health issues and all that, OnlyFans has been a lifesaver. And that's why I'm still there. And if there's a difficulty, I try to learn how to deal with it, and that's it. Because it's good for us, and we're still recovering from COVID and not having gigs and all that. And it's I don't know. Nowadays, I heard about this a long time ago about how musicians should think about their future. It was like 2006 or 7. And they were already saying back then that you had to learn to earn your money from different sources, not expect to make money just by selling music, because that's not possible anymore. Because the actors and all the protests, the strikes and all that, they are able to fight for themselves. If an artist tries to to fight for the sound engineers or for the other artists that doesn't sell as much, he will be finished in the record industry in a moment.
Yeah.
So that's why so meaningful. I'm not doing it because I'm like enjoying showing myself. I don't have a problem with my body, but it troubles me sometimes because I'm afraid my mom or my nephew will get a picture or something. That's why I don't post explicit things.
Family too.
What?
I'm like, yeah, will it happen? If it does, so I was encouraged by two things that helped me two things that were a part of. There were several things, but two things that really stuck out to me that kind of made it be like, okay, I'm just going to do it. The first one was a conversation I had with my friends Brad and Jim, who have for years been on what used to be, I don't even know if it's still a thing anymore, XTube. But before I knew, they closed it. Yeah, before I knew them as friends, I knew them as two guys on XTube who had incredible hot videos with millions of views, and they once told a story about how someone that one of them worked with found out and then subsequently did a real cunty thing and tried to show it to one of their family members. And they never really had it was like, so what? It's public. We weren't hiding it to begin with. Right. And they never had charged a subscription. Only recently have they even got into OnlyFans. And then the second thing that happened was last year when I filmed this movie with Josh that he wrote and directed, and I got to co-direct with him. There's a line that Josh wrote into the script where there's a character that's being interrogated, and they asked him, well, why would this person have your nude photos on his phone? And he said, well, because he asked for them. And the guy says, well, are you in the habit of sending, naked photos to people? And they said, well, if they want to see them, who am I to keep them from them? That's what they want, whatever. And it just was this very freeing idea that oh, you know what? For years, people have asked me to do this. And it's not like I don't send this kind of stuff on Growler or Bigger City or whatever. It's always been there. It's just a matter of whether or not my face was in it, or whatever. And so I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna do this. And then in the process, I'm going to try to get more in touch with how I feel about my own body. And I knew going into it that I would start this. In fact, a year ago this weekend, I was in New York City shooting my first OnlyFans photos. And which was wild considering I was supposed to be in New York this weekend doing the same thing. But anyway, I knew going into it that I was going to have surgery. I knew that my face would change. I knew that my weight would change. And so I thought, what better way for me to really take in my body and understand my body than just taking lots of naked pictures of myself, filming myself doing whatever. So it's been good. I struggle with engagement there. That's my biggest thing is trying to get people to actually comment on things or
Well, there's that's happening, that's going on. I detected. I'm lucky. Most of my followers come from Patreon.
Right.
They were they were on Patreon earlier, so they're used to message or comment, and I always try to reply and everything and have a but there's a culture, and the new guys, they don't comment, they don't like, they don't nothing, they just look.
Right.
And I think it's part. It's not something they decide. It's something that other creators are yes, encouraging. So I would love it to be a conversation, but history tells us that most likely that will not happen.
Right.
It will be
they're
less
making the
and
story
less
up in
and
their
less.
minds.
So I don't know. That's why most of the times I say I will do whatever I can every day because you never know.
Yeah, you don't.
We're getting into difficult times like that.
That's for sure. I wanted to take 2 moments real quick. One to say, I forgot to say this when Trevor was on, but if you're watching and listening at all, Trevor, Beaches was 1988. He kept thinking it was 91 or 93. It was 88. And I was like, 88. Oh my God, that was so wild. And then the second thing that I wanted to come back around to before we say goodbye to you, Benjamin, is that you mentioned earlier how you're a very sexual artist, and a lot of your music speaks to that, and how important that is to culture in general. The thing that I while you were talking about that I had this quick flash to was that first song that you heard by Prince, that Uptown, that you felt like you felt like it was a part of something, you felt connected to it, someplace you wanted to go. That is the power of music. And when people who, like you said, when somebody younger might hear your song in some, village in the middle of nowhere and realize like, oh, there are people that have these same feelings, and there are people that look like me. And that is so cool. I think that someone who started out, as such a big fan of Prince and Michael McDonald and Michael Jackson, has come so far and has created so much for other people to enjoy, and has no plans of stopping anytime soon. So for our folks at home, please don't forget, go over to benjaminkoll.com. You can pre-order the album right now. In fact, I don't even know if we really call it the pre-order anymore, because by the time that you order it, it'll be shipped in just about 4 days. So, you can get it on any streaming service that you can imagine. There'll be some music videos coming up, of course, because everybody knows that you make incredible, fun, sexy music videos. And don't forget, folks, that if you're in the area, which at some point I would very much like to visit that area. I've only ever been to Reynosa. Look at there. See, they're already here. They're already just dropping out of the sky.
I just remembered. I have a copy.
It's a digipack.
Nice.
Yes.
We love a digipack. September 9th in Guadalajara. All that information should also be over at benjaminkoll.com, where you can go to Benjamin's YouTube. You can go to the Instagram, the OnlyFans, the Just for Fans. I think Patreon is still live as well.
The what?
Your Patreon is also still live, right?
Yeah. It's alive and post every now and then, and I post daily on OnlyFans and Just for Fans, and like 3 times a week on Patreon.
Nice. Well, thank you again for being with us and spending so much time with us this evening, or I guess this morning for you. It's very early where you are. Josh,
as you, Nakia. What time is it, Benjamin, for you?
It's 9:45.
Yeah, so he's an hour behind me.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he's on. He's an hour behind me. So, Benjamin, let us know when you are going to be doing something in the States, obviously, please, so we can spread the word. And as soon as you get music videos, please send them our way so we can share them with our viewers that week. For folks watching at home, we will be back after this message, and Josh and I will spend the next 15 minutes wrapping things up. Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, Benjamin.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
All right. Bye-bye.
You're 15 minutes late.
Jesus, where did you come from?
time, and it's such a pity when people waste it. I hate that. Time is so precious, isn't that right, Mateo?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, wasted on the young.
Oh, we have a guest in the audience right now.
Oh, Stuart Keycheck. Stuart was supposed to be one of the stars of my music video that we would have shot Thursday and Saturday. Shout out to Stuart for being such a good sport about that. Man, I am such a big fan of Benjamin and Trevor. What a lovely show.
We had such a fun time today with today and / tonight, if you're watching us tomorrow or Monday. It was really great. Trevor is such an incredible artist, and Benjamin is such an incredible artist, and they both speak to the community from similar yet different perspectives.
Yeah. I think that we have these folks on many times. I would say most of the people this season, you and I have never met.
I think that's very accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time we meet them when the show starts. So.
Yeah, and you never really know. Now, in the case of Benjamin, like I said, I had the good fortune of bumping in to the two of them in Vegas last year and seeing them perform. But we really didn't get to spend a whole lot of time together outside of that. Sadly, I would have loved to have spent more time with them, but I find it fascinating how obvious it is to me as the interviewer when people are super genuine and easy and accessible to talk to, as opposed to kind of these very prepared statements and stuff. And I feel like we've been very fortunate this season with so many guests who have been really authentic and in a lot of cases very vulnerable.
Well, I think we're bringing on people who are from our community that understand what it's like to not have a platform and have a chance. And we want to promote them and make sure that they. I mean, Benjamin has a very large platform, and Trevor has a very large platform.
Large what?
Platform. But
you can find out on OnlyFans.
You can find out on OnlyFans and Just for Fans, not Patreon anymore. And Trevor also has a very large platform. I mean, both of them have done a lot in the community. But other times we've had people guest on this season. They are people who are still fresher and everything. And I mean myself. I mean, you have a very large platform. Everyone in the U.S. knows you.
I don't know about that, but.
I remember you from, and I didn't know you in the other day, so I think people know you. So, don't sell yourself short. I'm short enough. So no, but no, I think it's been really just lovely having so many wonderful, genuine, passionate people on to talk about both their art and the things that are important to Sidekick Productions, which is queer stories, fat positivity, and sex positivity. I mean.
Yeah. And really,
I mean, something that doesn't Benjamin touched on that we didn't bring up a little bit, but is kind of inherent, in especially in Skeleton Crew, is how much we deal with age positivity, really too. And I mean, we have so many of our cast and crew are people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah.
So it's
because those people can act really good.
Yes, they can
because they've been doing it longer.
That's true, and I think Jose Spin and Cortez said that in the comments actually earlier.
Yeah,
that older means more experienced.
Yeah, it does. And fortunately, sometimes it also means that they are really, really good, and because of that, it's harder to get them. So it's both a blessing and a curse because we end up with so many great talented people that end up sometimes not being able to continue because they, are doing bigger, better things. So.
But speaking of experience, YouTube told me today, actually, I just discovered that today is the Sidekick Productions YouTube channel birthday.
Oh, what was the very first Sidekick Productions video?
It was a clip from from La Petite Mort, which is a play that I produced way back, I think in 2011. 2012 maybe, which is where I met Asha Monique Menard, by the way. So
that very first play that you produced?
That is the very first play that we produced. I may have made it private now, but so we are on our way to 10,000. I'm probably going to post about this very soon, but we have 9,082 subscribers right now on YouTube, and I'm hoping by New Year's Eve of this year we will have reached 10,000. I know it's a lofty goal, but I think we can do it.
We can do it if everybody will share something today. Go share your favorite episode of Skeleton Crew. Go share your favorite episode of Demon Doctor or your favorite episode of Power Hour. There's been some really fun episodes of Power Hour.
And if we can do that, I would love to hit 10,000 by 2024 because that would be a huge milestone for us. I mean, I never thought we would get that high. But speaking of other milestones, by the way, a Taste of Youth video has crashed 400,000 views.
What?
400,000 views for A Taste of Youth. I mean, not A Taste of Youth, A Touch of Poison. A Touch of Poison is our most watched music video and video in general.
I was going to say probably most watched video.
And it is at 400,000 views.
Wow.
So look at that, Nakia. We have made a song that has 400,000 people watching it.
That is incredible. It's interesting that 401,000, I'm sorry, excuse you, have watched it, but only 1.4 thousand have liked it.
Well, maybe
please like more things. If you're going to watch it, please like it.
That's the thing. I had a wonderful suggestion from one of our Discord members, actually, who talked to me privately about some suggestions. And one of them was that for future videos to put out a video where I literally say, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh, right.
Because it is something that everyone does, but not everyone. But everyone needs to be prompted maybe to do it. So
yeah, we have all these cute intros and outros for the videos and stuff, but we don't have anything. I did tell you last year when we were putting up the actual musical episode in chunks that I thought that we should put actual Sidekick commercials in the middle.
And which I mean, essentially, I think we have to start doing that.
Yeah, it's the same way that like Screen Crush, Ryan Airy, they're talking for a few minutes or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, they slip into whatever the commercial is, or like at the beginning of every Trixie video, they're always a sponsored thing or whatever. We just have to get in the habit of doing that. But this is Alex Cologne, obviously performing A Touch of Youth. I mean, A Touch of
Poison. A Touch of Poison.
A Touch of Poison. I don't want to put it on because then it'll ding us, but the audio. But before we go, I thought since I've been doing this a little bit more, we'll take a minute and I'll share another song with folks and that I've been doing at the Nakia Club, which is my Patreon. And for folks who aren't familiar, Nakia Club, I put out a new song every week, a lyric video and an MP3 download. This week, the one that I did, and I know that Josh stopped listening. He's basically striking from paying attention to my work until I'm finished with his, rightfully so.
Hours.
But this particular song is one of the songs and each week I post a story with my with my song.
It's actually one of the best parts of the Nakia Club is the stories that you write for them, because it's so fascinating and so interesting to see where you were and what you created, or whatever it is that you're going to tell us about. It's great to get insight into you, and it's really a great way for you to eventually also compile your memoirs, so you can write your memoirs. So
don't get me started. So this one is one of the first songs that I really kind of had the kind of spark that, like, oh, I could do, composing for a film and TV. Like, I think and I could probably also do some kind of sound design, because there's like little sound design elements in this. But this is called Behind the Sun. And since I've been watching so many horror movies the last 2 weeks, recovering from this knee surgery, I was already in this headspace, and it's a very horror vibe. So let's take a listen to Behind the Sun. That is not Behind the Sun. That is Better from Behind. So I guess they both had the word behind in them, and so I just grabbed that. Let's see. Hang on. Behind the Sun. There we go. All right, now let's try this. So let's remove this one. All right, let's try again. Wild Times.
I love those lyrics so much.
I knew you would really dig this one. I did this in 2012, one of my first ever self-produced demos, because I was doing the Bob Schneider songwriting game, and the whole point of me joining that game, which is where he would send a prompt every week and then you'd write a song by the end of the next week, was an exercise in essentially saying, I don't care how bad it sounds, I just have to write.
Mhm.
And I just have to teach myself how to record. And so all of those early Song Game songs from 2012 and 2013, it's kind of my season one of Skeleton Crew. You know, like you can really hear at the beginning how rough everything is, and then it starts to get a little bit better up until the point where now, you know, you've got these demos that I'm doing and then taking the Matt Parmenter and finishing up that are almost, you know, they're basically done with the exception of like mixing them properly and adding like a few other elements, you know, but the core of the song comes from my own production, which is probably lately has been my favorite thing to do is to produce my own music. So I've really been happy with it. And I'm super happy with all the folks over at Patreon who are supporting me there. I did lose somebody this week, which is always sad to see them go, but maybe they'll come back. You never know.
I'll probably lose somebody in 4 days on September 1st.
Oh no.
Well, it always happens with Patreon. I mean, that's the. But hey, the more that's okay. People
come and go. You got to do whatever you got to do. It's all good. We appreciate whatever support you can show us. And you can support Sidekick Productions by becoming a member of the Crewniverse. You can do that super simple by going to thecrewniverse.com, or you can go to patreon.com/Sidekick Productions. Another way that you can support the Crewniverse and what we're doing over here at Sidekick Productions is to purchase a T-shirt. I am not wearing. I'm wearing a Nina West Dolly Parton collab,
but I'm wearing a Power Hour shirt.
Are wearing a Power Hour shirt designed by the logo was designed by the incredible Matthew Teeter. You can pick one of those up over at sidekicksupermarket.com.
We're coming out with some great Demon Doctor shirts this year. We've already put out a Demon Doctor shirt for Detective Mark Bessem, for Nakia's character Yakumo, and we put out a character shirt for just recently for Barth. So we have all of those. Plus, we have additional character shirts coming out.
Oh, and don't forget about the upcoming Tom Goss shirt.
Yes, the upcoming Tom Goss shirt. Have that as well.
I want to make this into a sticker. I don't know if I like which one I like more though.
Well, this one's very fuzzy, but I'm not a huge fan of that one.
That was a moment.
It was a moment. But we will. This is our last scheduled show of the season. But Nakia and I are hoping to have a couple holiday-centric ones come up or across the.
Well, it's not hope. We're going to have other episodes before the end of the year. They just won't be a regular weekly episode like this.
And then we plan to be back in early 2024, I think.
The power of craft compels you.
Maybe.
I guess Nakia has other plans. We'll see.
No. Listen, here's the plan. Let's let everybody know what the plan is. Here's the plan. The real plan is this. Once this is done, and I mean this as far as like this actual recording of this episode, Nakia is going to focus on getting some tax documents that are really, really important that I have to get done. And then Nakia is going to focus on Demon Doctor Season 2 audio because Nakia still has to finish episode number
6,
7, 8, 9, and 10. So,
12.
Oh, God.
We're not even halfway through the season, Nakia.
And then,
part of it because you insisted that I split up some episodes. So
I know, but that was the right call.
It was.
And then Nakia is going to focus on editing season 3 of this podcast, our first ever podcast.
Unless Nakia has moved on to editing doing the audio for a certain.
Well, hopefully Roman won't need me as much as we think he will. But we'll
you're scoring it, so he's going to need that. So
very little. What we're going to try to do is use as minimal of a score and more of actual queer musicians like Benjamin Koll.
Yes.
Like, Trevor Ashley, like Tom Goss, like Z Machine. Basically, everybody that's been on the show this season should expect a call from me that says, we would like to have your song in A Taste of Youth. And with that being said, I think we do need to show the trailer for A Taste of Youth as our last piece before we leave this evening. So when the trailer ends, we're going to go straight into the
wrap up
and into the wrap up.
But
But
don't forget, we've got other exciting shows coming besides Demon Doctor. We will have Brooklyn Butcher coming out in 2020.
probably before the Edward Chronicles.
Probably before Demon Doctor season 2. So no, we'll have Brooklyn. Well, we'll see which one comes first, Brooklyn Butcher or the Edward Chronicles. But both of those are coming in 2024, and you're going to be very excited to see them. Edward Chronicles, as you might have guessed, is our first spin-off for Skeleton Crew. It is a wonderful series featuring Edward Christie, our dear, delightful a part-time slave for a part-time master. And then Brooklyn Butcher is our series that I am filming right now that I think you will all really be delighted with. And I think Nakia will be shocked by how good it is because he knows very little about it. So
on purpose, because I want to report the news like as it's happening.
Exactly.
Yes.
So with that being said, our biggest thing that's coming in 2024, and I am so excited for it, is the trailer that Nakia is about. Well, not the trailer, the feature film of the trailer that Nakia is about to play for us. But it's been such a wonderful, wonderful time spending season 3 of SideKick Power with y'all. And Nakia and I have had such a blast interviewing all these amazing queer, fat positive, sex positive artists, and spending every week with all of you. It's been really delightful.
And we'll still be over at the Discord, obviously. We'll be around. And we'll be around on Monday Night Live in the comments. So definitely tune in.
And the biggest thing before even if you can't support us anyway financially, you can always support us by sharing the shows. Because if you tell more people, hey, watch this show that I liked, or here's a clip I really liked, or anything like that, the more audience you bring to SideKick Productions, the more people watching it, the more we can continue to do what we do because it's worth it. So, we already have a request for a Sebastian Jupiter show.
All right. Well, we've got so many irons in the fire, y'all.
I've got 10 projects ready to work on. So
Josh literally has written 4 scripts already of the Sebastian Jupiter show, and three of another one.
I also have a full season of a whole other show that's not even connected to any of the shows right now. That I could write, and 2 feature film scripts, I think.
Okay, that's enough.
So much to do. Anyway,
here's the trailer for A Taste of Youth, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Oh, there it goes.
If you got your mind made up, you're gonna leave, hoping you'll take your sweet time. Won't you take your sweet time? 'Cause I'm not quite ready. Give you up to the end. I got more love to give. So much more love to give. Won't you please slow it down? Turn around. Don't you go running all over town. Won't you stay a while? Won't you stay a while?
And that's the tea.